Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to day 2 of the iTHRIVE Conference 2020. I am your host for today, the Honorable Minister of Joy and Happiness, Tuesday at Tuesday. So glad to connect with us today. Wow, yesterday was so explosive. We had amazing trainers take us all through from 5 to 8, and I'm sure you learned a lot. So you're going to be doing one thing for me right now. You're going to be dropping the key points you had from the first trainer, Moses Abayowa, the second trainer, Tolutola Omotosho, and the third trainer, Kara. You're going to be dropping that on the chat box. And you know, this whole conference was put together by an amazing mind, and he is the person we're going to be introducing to you right in this montage.
A minded coach, media expert and consultant. He is the chancellor of the AMAcademy and also the founder of Demo Hub Global, a capacity building and financial intelligence firm. He has impacted over 10,000 people with his coaching, both physically and virtually. With a sounding ovation, make welcome to the iTHRIVE Conference 2020. AMAcademy.
We are getting the best of value. Hey, hello guys, good evening. If you can hear me loud and clear, drop a yes in the comment section right there on YouTube. All right, guys, if you can hear me loud and clear, drop a yes right now in the YouTube. Awesome. Now, how many of you got value yesterday? If you got value yesterday, drop value in the comment section too. If you got value yesterday, drop value in the comment section below in the YouTube right now. Awesome. Great. So this is the day 2, and I want to welcome you. I want to tell you that this is gonna be the start. All right, we don't end, we keep growing, but it's going to be another start. Yesterday we dug some ground so that we can have a good foundation, and the likes of Moses Abayowa, the likes of Tolutola Omotosho, and the likes of Kara Coach did a great one on that, making you helping you to learn how to build your mind, how to discover your potentials and how you can maximize it, how you can go all the way to say, okay, what I'm going to build a resilient mindset, or like I'm going to build that thought that is going to really help me. And Kara Coach was so exceptional, with like so calm and cool, like she doesn't talk much. She taught us about what mindfulness, that if you are here, be here. Enjoy the experience, get the best out of it, and that is an awesome one. So why iTHRIVE Conference in the first place? For those that just joined us for the first time, let me just share my story with you. I'm going to make that very fast. About 7-8 years ago, I finished my first degree though, but I had a friend that had a spillover. We got started in the first degree together. His course was 4 years, mine was 5. And after his 4 years for a whole year, all right, he had a spillover and he had come back for 1 whole year. He couldn't handle it. I wish I knew better then on how I could help him. I knew better on how I can guide him to become better, by that at least building the right mindset. But I didn't know better. But over time, things happened. He started losing it, getting into drugs because he couldn't control what was happening. He hasn't set the sail right, because what we blow, the rainy season, the dry season, the winter, the hurricane, everything that will happen to every man. But the result each man will give back is based on what is inside of them, right? Put water in a container, put Coke in a container, shake both of them, remove the cap. What happens? The Coke burst out, the water still remain calm. It's even settling. So it is what you have inside of you that will determine what you will show. And that's what happened to my friend. And I didn't know better to guide him then. He got into drugs, he became a junkie and all of that. And that is what I want you to do with me today, to say, okay, Mr. Ayo, now that we know better, we are going to do better. Not just for ourselves, but for people around us, for people in my state, for people in my local government, for people in my country, for people in my continent, and the world entirely. All right? So if you are willing to join that movement, if you are willing to say, I'm going to go all the way, type in I'm willing right now, and I'm going to see that you committed, right? I'm going to see that you've committed, not just to what be on this live section, but you are committed to grow, you are committed to impact, you are committed to helping the next door person. So just type in I am willing. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to me. Thank you very much. It's my birthday, and this is the best way I know I can celebrate it. All right. So just type in I'm willing, and we'll take it off from there. And I'm going to allow our moderator to take it off from here. Having to know that we're having the first speaker in here, someone I so much respect. By the time we are ending this, I'm definitely going to give the respect to whom respect is due. So thank you very much, and welcome to iTHRIVE 2020 Day 2, and go all the way. Take it away, Susie. Thank you very much,
Ayo, for those profound words. Yes, you heard them very correctly. Today promises to be super amazing. I mean, it's the grand finale. So what do you expect? Kicking off the awesomeness is our first trainer.
He's a behavioral change professional, counselor, and an author. A certified life coach and a member of the American Union of NLP. He's the creator and leading authority on the peer resolve process. With a sounding ovation, make welcome to iTHRIVE Conference 2020, Dayo Samuel.
Hello, Dayo.
Hi.
Good evening. So good to have you on the conference today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very fine. I'm doing very, very well.
All right, Dayo. I trust you have a truckload of information to pass to us today. So you have 40 minutes. Your time starts now. Please take it away. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. And I totally appreciate Ayobami for bringing me here. I am trying to see why the screen is black right now, so maybe I should understand that. Okay, good. So if you are here right now and you're joining me, thank you very much for joining me. It's really, really awesome. It's been amazing watching what's going on here, and thank you very, very much for bringing me on. I am Dayo Samuel again, as I've been introduced. Today, I'm going to just kind of walk you through what I call lifting your limits. And I may not have a lot of energy because, and by energy, I may not be vibing as much. But let's have a conversation and let's get to have a little talk with each other. And if you are like me, particularly if you're listening and watching me right now, I want you to pick a pen and a paper. And I want you to kind of draw a circle. So I'm going to try and do that right now. So this is going to be experiential. It's not just going to be information, because I personally don't have any information to share that you don't already know. What I can do, however, is to help you organize the information so that you can create the transformation you are really looking for. If by the end of today, you are still where you have been, then you have probably wasted your time, you have wasted your data, you've wasted maybe your even headspace to be acquiring all of these in the first place. So again, now let me first of all share with you the 5 kinds of people that I've observed that attend this kind of trainings, this kind of conferences, this kind of summits. So the first category of persons is what I'm going to call spectators. And spectators tend to spectators tend to just come and watch things happen. So it's just like a football match. People come to the field not because they are the one playing, but because they want to come and watch. Now, this summit may be organized in a way that makes the speakers the persons who are being watched. But what I want you to think of right now is, if you consider your life right now, are you a spectator in your own life? Are you sitting down and watching things happen? And of course, because the way you do one thing is the way you most likely do almost every other thing in your life. So you probably are sitting down watching things happen in your life, and not being a game player, not being a partaker of the things that are going on in your life. And you are transferring that to other areas of your life, because that's how you've always been doing things. It's become a pattern that you've always executed. So that's the first thing I want you to notice. There is, first of all, what I call spectators. Spectators come to this kind of things to watch. Let me see what is going on. And then when we move from spectators, we move to the people I call stylists. And stylists basically are people who tag along. And in fact, that's why I call them stylists, because they are not really interested in what is going on. They just want to tag along because they have a friend, they have a colleague, or they have somebody that's close to them doing something, and they just say, okay, let me stylishly join them and see what's going to happen. And so I call them stylists. And perhaps maybe somebody has brought you to this conference, brought you to this summit, and you're like, okay, let me just tag along because my friend is coming. I want you to first of all take that off your mind right now and be here for yourself. The third category is what I call, let me use a simple language here. I'm going to call the third category the people I call starters. And when I say starters basically are people who have this pattern in their lives where they are fond of starting things. Every time you find them starting the next big thing. And so they are easily carried away by the next shiny object. And so I want you to assess yourself right now. Are you a starter? Are you the type of person who always starts things? And just as similar as the starters, there are people I call stoppers as well. Now, stoppers are those who actually start, but as soon as they start, the first obstacle they encounter, they kind of quit. They stop from whatever it is that they want to do. So they stop easily more than they start. And in fact, they're the kind of persons you encounter where you bring an idea to them, or they share an idea with you today. In fact, let me use the fact that you bring an idea to them. You bring an idea to them, and the next thing you see is that they have taken away the energy required for you to execute that idea that you just brought to them. So I call them stoppers. They are fond of stopping, such that they stop themselves. They also stop other people from doing the things that truly matter to them. Now, I want you to consider right now, which of these four categories do you belong to? Are you a spectator? Are you a stylist? Are you a starter? Or are you a stopper? Now, of these four, while they may sound negative, there's a fifth category right this side here. This fifth category is who, or the type of people are referred to as achievers. They're the type of people who ensure that success is what they are gunning for. And by the way, success simply means that they have a goal that they are working towards, and they always ensure that they complete what they're going after. So it's not like they tag along, it's not like they came to watch. And in fact, coming to watch, some people are actually just playing spectators in the movie of their lives. They are like, okay, let other people act the movie. I will just be watching myself in the movie of my own life. And so spectators, stylists, starters, stoppers, then they are achievers. Achievers are the kind of people who see things to the end. Achievers are the kind of people who say, I am committed to this thing. Achievers are the kind of people who say, rather than just partake in this, rather than just start this project, rather than just start this summit, I'm going to ensure that I see it to the end. And so I want you to write now with the note that you have picked up. I want you to write the category that you belong. And if you can, I want you to post it in the comment right now and just mention the category that you belong. So are you a starter? Are you a spectator? Are you a stylist? Are you a stopper? Or are you an achiever? Are you the type of person who is so focused on the end result? And by the way, when we always talk about end result, you need to understand that there is what you are going after and there's the real thing you are going after. So when I say achievers, I mean achievers go after the real thing. So let me clarify that a little. When you set a goal that this is what you want to accomplish, one of the things that you might need to understand is sometimes when you set a goal like that, you are probably just focusing on something that leads you to an end. So for example, if you want to make money, or if you want to heal trauma, for example, or you want to overcome fear, you want to overcome fear. So that is the end result. Overcoming fear, healing trauma, resolving anxiety, making money, achieving a goal is because of this end result here. So that's what I mean by those who see to the end, because between landing here and getting here, sometimes we are so disconnected that we don't even know that this is what we are actually looking for. This is only a means to this end. So having mentioned that, I want you to also pick your note right now. I want you to follow with me right now. We want to draw two circles, two concentric circles. When I say two concentric circles, you are drawing a circle, two circles with the same center, almost like this. And what I want you to do is, I want you to look at the first circle, and I want you to label it as the circle of possibility, and the big circle, I want you to label it as the circle of impossibility. So if you look at it right now, there's this first circle here, this one here, you call it possible, and this one outside there, you call it impossible. And what I want you to do is, I want you to access yourself right now and access your life right now. What goals, what things do you want to accomplish? And I want you to kind of place them within the circle that you feel they belong. So for example, if you say you want to achieve a particular goal, you say you want to accomplish a particular thing, is that thing within the circle of possibility, or that thing is outside the circle of possibility where it has entered into the circle of impossibility? I want you to kind of do that right about now. And as you do that, in the circle of possible, what I want you to ask yourself is, what is possible for you to achieve? What is possible for you to accomplish? What is possible, or who is possible for you to become? Now, I'm saying who is possible for you to become, what is possible for you to achieve, because sometimes who you are is not the same thing as what you do. And in fact, I might even try to pause here and make that a little clearer. So here's what I want you to understand. Being addressed as a speaker, being addressed as a coach, being addressed as a therapist, that is not who I am. That is only what I do. And if I ask right now that who are you, you will most likely reply me with what you do. So most times, a lot of people don't even know who they are. They don't know what they do. And this is how to understand that. There is what I refer to as your role, and there's what I refer to as your identity. Your role is the function you carry out in specific contexts. For example, in the context of this event, I am a speaker. In the context of working one-on-one with my clients, I am a coach and a therapist. In the context of working on people's systems and their structures, I am a consultant. Yes, and so those are roles that I am playing. But who am I? And that's a question I want you to answer yourself right now. So I answer the question, who are you? If we take away everything you do right now, what will be left of you? So if you are a coach, if you are this, if you are that, if we strip you of everything right now, who would you still be? In fact, if we strip you of your religion right now, who would you still be? So I want you to answer that question. Who would you be if you take away everything, every external aspect of your life, every external aspect of who you think you are? If you strip everything away, what would be left of you? And who would remain? So I want you to identify that. So now, getting back to that possible and impossible circle, you want to write what is possible. And I want you to list everything you think is possible for you to achieve everything you think is possible for you to become, I want you to list them in this middle center. And then whatever it is you feel you can't easily accomplish or you can't easily become, I want you to list them in the circle outside. And I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to do that while I am looking forward to some of the comments that will be left under this video or under this in the comment section right now. So what are there comments that are being left? Is there anybody to help me identify that? So where is
none for now. Once we have them, we're going to post it for you to see, sir.
Okay, great. I just switched to my audio in case you noticed there's a difference. I was using audio coming from here, so I just switched to audio coming from what I'm wearing. So what I want you to now pay attention to is in the circle of what is possible. What I want you to now label outside it or somewhere around it is I want you to write down these words: beliefs, attitude, behaviors, actions, and abilities. You got beliefs, behaviors, actions, feelings, and abilities. Now, between what is possible and what is impossible, if you check, it is not really about any, how should I say now, it's not really about anything outside of yourself. Whatever is possible for you is possible because you believe it's possible. Whatever is impossible because you believe it's impossible. Whatever is possible is possible because you can behave yourself into seeing the possibility of seeing the result. And if it is impossible, you also believe it's impossible because you are behaving a particular way. The actions that you are taking that are making what you feel is possible, possible. And actions you are taking that are making what is impossible, impossible. Now, there are beliefs you have, there are behaviors you have. In fact, there are emotional states, which I refer to as feelings in this context now. The feelings you have, they can also dictate what you feel is possible and what you feel is impossible, as well as the abilities that you have. Now, the abilities that you have, if you can't do something, you will naturally feel stressed anytime there's a demand placed upon you to perform that thing. And in fact, when I work with corporate business professionals, especially when they complain of stress, one of the first questions I get to ask them is, do you have a KPI that is higher than what you are used to? Most times, in the different KPIs that they've been given, one area tends to kind of demand a lot from them. And most times, they don't have the capacity for those things. So here's what I want you to understand right now. Stress usually results when your demand or when your capacity is less than the demand that's placed on you. So you get that? Stress, okay, let me equate it like this. Stress equal to demand greater than capacity. Stress equals to demand greater than, okay, in case you are watching from a different screen, greater than capacity. What that means is that anytime there's a demand placed on you, that physically, emotionally, professionally, mentally, psychologically, and you don't have the capacity, you don't have sufficient capacity to actually handle it, what you find is you are stressed. Either you are psychologically stressed or you are physically stressed, or maybe like some people that I'm beginning to experience in my work, they are emotionally stressed. Perhaps they have overdone a particular emotion, and so they feel overstressed. So anytime you feel stressed, what I want you to watch is in which area of my life is there is demand placed on what I have the capacity to perform. And here is the interesting thing. In psychology, of which I'm a student of, and neuroscience, there's something we learned called the confidence competence loop. And what that means is that if you have the competence to handle something, your confidence doing that thing will skyrocket. I'm going to repeat that. When you have competence in doing a thing, your confidence at doing it will skyrocket. What does that mean in relation to stress and what is possible and what's impossible? Here's what I want you to understand. Your abilities determine a lot to the extent of what is possible for you to achieve and what is impossible for you to achieve. If you want to make $1 million, the first response you will get will be that response. So a lot of times, some people think the reason why they're not making $1 million is because they have mental blocks or energy blocks, or they say they have, how should I say, limiting beliefs. Sometimes it's not even limiting beliefs. Sometimes it could be as simple as the fact that you don't have the skills, you don't have the ability to actually make that $1 million. And in fact, if you are hearing me say $1 million right now, and it's sounding very weird in your ears, then that's the place where belief comes in, not in the fact that you can actually make it. Are you getting what I'm explaining right now? So if you feel anything is impossible for you to accomplish, it's basically due to the fact that you are yet to increase your skills to that place where it now becomes possible for you to accomplish. So again, I'm going to repeat them one after the other. Behavior, beliefs, actions, feelings, and abilities. And of course, abilities is what I refer to as capacity, right? So I hope these 5 things are able to help you right now to understand that if you want to live a life of impossibility, a life of possibility, a life of limitless possibilities, you simply need to be working on your belief, your behavior, your actions. And by the way, you may be thinking actions and behavior are the same thing. Sometimes they are not. And maybe I'm going to clarify that a little. So your beliefs, your behavior, your actions, your feelings, your abilities. Those are the 5 things you need to be paying attention to every single time. Do you get it now? Every single time. Anytime you feel like you can't accomplish anything, just check what beliefs are holding you back, what behaviors are holding you back. So, for example, when they talk about self-sabotage, sometimes self-sabotage is a combination of beliefs and behaviors. Do you get that? Beliefs and behaviors. So, and here's what I want you to understand. The word mindset is called mindset because it is the setting of the mind. Once you set your mind, it sets every other area of your life. Do you get it now? The word mindset is called mindset because it is the setting of the mind. Once you set your mind, it sets every other area of your life. And so what I really want you to understand here is that your beliefs are connected to your behaviors. How you act, how you do things, the actions you take are connected to your beliefs. And the interesting thing is that you can also use your belief to increase your abilities as well as use it to decrease your abilities. It all comes down to understanding how each of these interplay in your own life. So I hope that this is helpful to you. My goal for you is I want you to try. I want you to succeed beyond measure. I want you to succeed in a way that surprises even your former self. Because again, sometimes your former self is always surprised at your new self. Because in fact, if I'm going to tell you a little story of mine, before now, I can't actually appear on screen like this. And Ayobami will probably know the story. Before now, I can't actually appear on screen like this. Why? Because I used to believe that, because when I was growing up, anytime I tried to do anything that is related to performance, which maybe to began to understand what's called performance anxiety, anytime I want to do anything that's related to performance, my parents will shout at me. My parents will scream at me. My parents will tell me, keep quiet. If you don't have anything to say, go and sit down. Go and read your book. Go and do this. Go and do that. Okay, maybe you are seeing plenty of books behind me. That's one of the reasons why I dug into books. But I didn't solve that problem. Anytime I'm called on stage to speak, anytime I'm called to do a presentation, I begin to get fidgety. I begin to be timid. I begin to feel as if all of the world wants to collapse on my shoulder. And this kept going on until one day I said, okay, if there are other people who speak very well, what is it that they know? And what is it that they do? And you know the interesting thing, in order for me to overcome that social anxiety, in order for me to overcome that performance anxiety, some of the things I did was to learn better and as also to increase my capacity, increase my ability. So for example, being shy, people think being shy is a trait. But based on my research, being shy is not a trait. is simply an emotional state. You get into it and you can get out. There are conditions where you are feeling shy, and there are conditions where you don't feel shy. When you feel shy, is because that's the state you're in. That is the feelings at that point. And when you are not feeling shy, it's also based on feeling. It's also based on the emotional state you are in at that point in time. And so as I began to work on all of these things, I began to work on my skills at being able to present, being able to speak clearly. In fact, there was a time when I started my podcast back in June of 2014, one of the first persons to listen to the podcast then, who happens to still be my friend till today, told me that I talk like Baba Ijebu. And do you know what Baba Ijebu means? It means my accent was very, very thick. And when I very, very thick, I mean it was difficult for people who were Nigerians to even understand my English at that point because it was very rusty and very remembering now is not making me laugh. But I took that as a feedback. And again, if you remember, stylists, spectators, starters, stoppers, because I knew that I am not the kind of person who will stop because I get that kind of feedback. I get that kind of negative feedback. Or maybe it's like they say today, maybe I got bullied. Because I'm not that type of person who will suddenly turn back because of that. I kept pressing on. You know how my accent was resolved? One day, I was speaking with a coach who happens to be coaching me then, and he was coaching me on public speaking. And I said that one of my basic challenges was my accent. And he asked me, he said, as he's speaking right now, is he speaking with an accent? I said, no. And he was like, really? Are you speaking with an accent? I said, yes, I am speaking with an accent. But you are not speaking with an accent. So he looked at me and he looked into my eyes just as I'm looking into your eyes right now. And he said, Dayo, you know your problem. Every human being on the face of the earth today has an accent. Some of us love our accents. Some of us hate it. And so because we hate our accent, we try to copy other people and try to speak like them. It is in the process of copying them and speaking like them that we lose our essence of self. And I was like, oh my God, this is me. I'm trying to speak like an American. I'm trying to speak like a European. And I discovered that I'm still a Nigerian. I'm an African. My best kind of find expression in truly being an African who can actually appeal to global audience. And so at that point, I asked, what can I do to make my accent less challenging? And I began to work on the things he suggested to me. So again, I'm going to tell you today, there is practically nothing that you cannot accomplish. It all comes down to how your beliefs are holding you back, how your behaviors are holding you back, how your feelings are holding you back, how your actions and abilities are holding you back. If you feel like any of these areas you are challenged in any way, work on the things I've suggested here to you today. And I look forward to seeing your success story within the next couple of days. Again, don't be the kind of person who starts and jump around from one idea to the other. This is somebody who is an achiever, who is committed to seeing the real results you are looking for. Not the person who is jumping up and down looking for information, but become a person who is deeply in love with your own personal transformation. Because imagine, based on the story I just told you now, if I was still caught up in that old me, I would not be here speaking today. If I could have become transformed in the way that I have been so far, then it means you also have the possibility of achieving the same thing. And this is why I'm going to end this session right now and say to you that please live courageously and live audaciously. I'm Dayo Samuel. Hopefully, we'll get to speak some other time. At this point, I would like to take your questions if you have questions. So please go ahead with your questions. Let me take your questions for the next couple of minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dayo Samuel. You've shared really profound things. You know, what really stood out for me was the 5 categories that you listed: spectators, stylists, starters, toppers, and achievers. And I'm sure our participants are speedily moving from spectators to achievers. So like you've already heard, if you have questions, we're going to take just 3 questions because of time and the other amazing stuff we have for you. So the first 3 questions to drop on the YouTube comment box will be selected and sent in for answers.
Okay, awesome, amazing.
All right, guys, drop your questions. I'm waiting for you.
Okay, so waiting.
We're waiting for more questions.
Amazing.
All right, so Mr. Ayo, we're going to invite you now to come and share a word with us.
All right.
Hello, Mr. Ayo.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Tuzi. Thank you very much, Mr. Dario Samuel. I could remember back, like, so we haven't really met, have we?
I've not really met physically yet.
Please, we haven't. So that is how life is, guys. That is how life is. Like, I could remember, like, for those that are calling me podcast Lord, like, hey, this is our podcast coach. You know, when there's a son, there's a father. And when there's a father, the father is having a father. All right. So who you are looking at right now, Dario Samuel, I will call him my mentor when it comes to podcasting. So thank you very much. But beyond that, as I told you, there is a difference between services you render for a mindset coach, a podcaster, a therapist is what you do. It is not who you are. All right. Your own essence is inside, and you must truly know yourself. So thank you very much. Let's see if they have a question, one or two. Let me see. All right. Okay, I'm going to be asking the question first so that you can just answer them. The first one is, if I try to be like others, I will lose my essence. Okay, that is the response. Okay, the first question is, how can you encourage young people now in this pandemic time to relook at their purpose?
Okay, so at this point, the question of purpose, I have happened to work with people who were depressed simply because they felt they didn't have a purpose. Like they felt they couldn't easily identify their purpose. They felt they couldn't. They felt like, I don't know my purpose, and so I'm busy searching everywhere. You've taken all kinds of courses, taken all kinds of programs and all that, looking for purpose up and down. Now, based on my research, and I started this research as way back as 2010, when I decided this question of purpose, let me see how to answer it for people. I've read all kinds of books. In fact, some of people will tell you to look up, to look here, to look here, to look down, to look within, to look up, to look down, just because you are looking for purpose. Now, here is what I found about purpose. Everything about purpose simply comes down to three key things. And I'm not going to tell you to go and look for it anywhere, because everybody who is existing and living right now, you're already in purpose. So you are not looking for it. It's not like your purpose is lost. In fact, one of the questions I used to ask is, if you say that God created you with purpose, the question I always ask is, the God who created you, will it be so marvelous so that he will hide something so important to you, to your life, he will hide it away and not be looking everywhere for it? Then that means that that God who hide it away, that God must be wicked. He must be a wicked kind of father who will say, my son deserves this. Okay, my daughter, I was playing with my daughter before I came here just now. So I should say that this pen is supposed to belong to my daughter. I'm going to go and hide it inside somewhere and tell her, start spending the rest of your 50 years, of your 80 years of existence looking for this pen everywhere. Now, what have I done? I've simply sent that child into a life of dysfunctionality. But here's the thing, the purpose that you're looking for, you're already in it, but you may not just identify it. How do you identify it? You look at three things. First of all is what I call inherited purpose. An inherited purpose simply refers to purpose or a kind of pattern that is transferred from one generation to the other generation to the next generation. So, for example, we all know Faust, the bad guy. Faust, the bad guy, he has come from a family of lawyers. His father is a lawyer. He is continuing the lineage of law, and possibly he might even raise a child that will continue that lineage of law. In fact, all of their families, they are all lawyers in that family, right? So the question is this: will Faust be busy looking for purpose up and down? That, okay, my purpose is this, then we now suddenly find music. No, that is an inherited purpose because he has already found it by reason of being in a particular family. So maybe you have uncles, maybe you have paternal or maternal parents or grandparents who did certain things in a particular way, and you simply seem to follow along. That's purpose already discovered. You are not looking for it, it's already there. You just need to accept it. So, for example, this concept of acceptance is what a lot of people don't like, because they feel like I should be able to do special things to get it. But it's about acceptance. You simply need to accept it. So let me give you a little story. In my own family, my grandparents were entrepreneurs. In fact, one of my grandparents was the high priest, the herbalist in the village. My parents, both of my grandparents were entrepreneurs. They were fully in business. My parents, the two of them, run independent businesses. In fact, my father's company is in my name. Do you get that? Now, me coming out, and then I tried some years to go into corporate world. I couldn't function. By saying go into corporate world, I tried to take up a salaried job. I couldn't fully function because somehow it just limited my thinking. And so I decided to quit and run independent business. And since then, I fully found expression. In fact, right now, I run 2 different companies successfully. You get it now? So your purpose may not be hidden away. It could be something you have already inherited, but you are yet to accept it. Number 2, purpose can be inspired. And this is the type that a lot of us look everywhere to find. Inspired purpose sometimes can come from an experience you have. And that's when people say that your mess has become a message. Inspired purpose can come from God telling you that this is what you need to do for the rest of your life. But it's not every day that God will say things like that, because God speaks every day. In fact, every moment. You just may be the person that's not been listening. So there's inspired purpose that comes from either the experiences you've had or the something that comes from God. And then there's the last type, which is initiated purpose. And initiated purpose typically tend towards having a particular type of experience. In fact, anybody who tells you that this is what I used to do until one day, and I will realize that this is what I'm meant to be doing for the rest of my life. That experience initiated this person into destiny, so to say. That experience initiated this person into knowing this is what I'm meant to do. But it doesn't always happen every time. In fact, if that's what you are looking for, then go on the road, let a trailer hit you, die, wake up back and say, God has given you a message, or that you saw heaven and came back, and then the next thing you want to live your life for is to be telling the story of how you saw heaven. But it doesn't happen to everybody. So you find that the key question of purpose is something you already have. Right now, you are just yet to accept it. You probably have had certain experiences in your life that can become tools, that can become resources that can bank on, but you are there looking at it like this and say, this is not my purpose. Let me tell you a little story. So one day, a teacher of a school, one of the teachers of a school, called me up and said that she's about to commit suicide. And I was like, why? She said, because she has spent the last 18 years looking for a purpose until now she's not been able to find it. And she feels like the teaching she's doing is not what God wants her to do. So I said, do you like children? She said, yes. Do you have children? She said, yes. I said, what do you like about children? And for the next 15 minutes, I couldn't say a pin because she just kept mentioning things. And I was like, really? If you love these children this much, then why you run away from teaching? She said, because my other friends work in bank, my other friends, they are speaking on stage. In fact, one of our friends happened to be a popular speaker around here in Nigeria. And I was like, okay. So I asked her, I said, if you are given 5 talents, what would you have been doing with all the 5 talents right now? Said, I don't know. I said, so what you're asking is what you don't know, Because if you actually know, you would know what, if you actually have multiple talents like those people who you probably are admiring, you will be doing all the things they were doing. And she was like, okay. At the end of the call, she didn't commit suicide, thankfully, but she left that call that day understanding that purpose is not something you truly search everywhere to find. In fact, every single person on the face of the earth already has a purpose. Many of us are not accepting. So in this lockdown or whatever may have taken place in the world, your purpose is not absent from you. Your purpose is always present with you. You may just need to find or may just need to accept what you have been given. So like the concept of that talent story, you could just be filing it away and keeping it somewhere and say, I don't really like this, I don't really like this. And you know the interesting thing, God is not a taskmaster, so you won't even be pushing and pulling your head. So I hope I am able to answer your question. But first of all, clarify what purpose is. So I hope I'm able to answer your question. Hi, Obami, where are you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Dyer Samuel. Okay, so we have a final question. It says, considering the high anxiety, how are people able to stick to a purpose?
Please, can you repeat that question so that I get it clearly?
Yeah, I said, considering the high anxiety, how do people stick to their purpose?
Okay, thank you for that question. And that question will go back to where we started from. The question of commitment. People starting things and jumping off. People seeing the next big thing and saying that, let me quickly jump into this. And then there's another next big thing. And then they jump into that, which I call the tendency of the next shiny object. Now, if you are the type of person who is easily carried away by such things, you will not have stickability. You will not be able to stick to something. So let me even tell you a little of my story here as well. And maybe you might want to bring me back on screen here. So between 2010 and 2014 or 2015, what I observed, you might want to bring me back on screen. What I observed was that I spent those number of years, in fact, it started from 2006, because that was when I initially started this entire path that I'm working on. Now, every time somebody says AdSense is what's making money, I jump into AdSense until I created 8 different AdSense accounts and they banned all of them and that you are forever banned from AdSense. Next, I heard blogging was raining. So I jumped into blogging. Next, I heard that it is writing articles. I jumped into writing articles. Next, I heard that it was, I kept hearing new things every single time, but stickability was absent. I was not committed long term to anything. And one of the things that I've observed based on that is, even though from looking at other people's stories and other people's lives as well, one of the things I've observed is if you can't stick to something for a long time, you most likely not stick to a partner in a relationship. Remember again, how you do one thing is how you do everything else. So if you can't stick to one thing, for example, maybe you are in this meet right now, and then you have jumped on Facebook, you have jumped to Instagram, you have jumped, you most likely do that on a normal day. Now, you say that that's ADHD but you need to understand that dysfunction is different from behavioral patterns, okay? So when it comes to maintaining commitment, you need to first of all be clear on, is this thing what I really want to do? And then if it is what you want to do, the next question you should ask yourself is, what is there for me to gain? And immediately after what is there for you to gain, ask yourself, what is there for me to lose? Here's what is interesting. People who have fear the most have a lot to lose. You get that? People who have fear the most have a lot to lose. If you don't have a lot to lose, you will not be committed to something. So anxiety may show up because you have a lot to lose. But are you committed enough to ensure that you stick to this? So here's how that works. First of all, identify, is this thing something I want to do? The next, what do I have to gain? And then what do I have to lose? By the time you consider those two questions and you put them side by side and see if this is something you want to commit to, this is not something you want to commit to. So again, it comes back to the question of, are you a starter, are you a stopper, or are you an achiever? So I hope that answers that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dyer Samuel. Like you said, people who fear a lot have a lot to use. Thank you so much for your time at the iTHRIVE conference day 2. We're so glad to have you. This section is something that I would recommend us to rewatch and rewatch and rewatch, because you can learn all these things at once. So coming up next on our program, this part I like very much. We're going to be blowing you away with something. Yeah, like the comedian says, something's about to happen right now. So guys, stay tuned. Coming up next is the illusionist.
Hello guys, how are you doing? Good afternoon everybody. My name is Paul. I am known as the Black AK. And yes, most of you must have been seeing posters around, wondering what an illusionist does. Well, I'm a magician. So I'm here to thrill you guys, and I hope you guys are entertained. You guys are welcome to the Mind Conference hosted by iTHRIVE, and I hope you guys are really enjoying yourselves. I hope you guys are learning a lot, and I hope you guys are going through the motions as it's all going. I hope you guys are jotting things down too. You don't get to witness this great knowledge gathered in one place and not take something along with you. So I want you guys to take note, enjoy the performance also. Well, with me today we have a newspaper, yeah. Most of you saw it too. So this newspaper, as you can see, is quite empty. But I want you to picture this paper as your mind. So you see, you need to protect your mind, and you need to protect your mind gates. Most of you must have heard something they call mind gates once in a while. But you see, your mind gates are your eyes, your ears, what you hear, what you see, what you smell, and all of that. So you really need to protect your mind gates because of false informations and bad information. Because if you see all this is what they do to your mind. So you have your mind here with you. Say, for example, you receive a false information such as this: you are not special. That is a false information. Who told you that? And that's what it does to your mind. You see, at this moment, your mind is being shattered into different pieces just because you're receiving false or bad information. Most of you must have received different informations at one point in life. Maybe you're not good enough. Who told you that? Same thing too, bad information. They reach into your mind and they tear it out. Other informations could be what you witnessed, what you smelled, what you have gone through while you were young. But remember, these are just false information. Fill yourself with positive thoughts, fill yourself with positive vibes, so that anytime you come across different situations in life, you're able to face them. Let's see what positive informations do to you. So if you have situations where when you feel down and out, you could tell yourself, I'm special. Yes, you are special. You tell yourself, I'm good. I can do better. I can get there. And this is what it actually does to your mind. It takes all the pieces, okay, wherever they might be, whatever you might have gone through, it takes all the pieces. Exactly. And just as you might have noticed, positive information comes into the mind, fills it up, yes, fills it up and makes it whole again. So whatever you're doing, wherever you're going through, whatever you're facing in this life, make sure you are filling your mind with positive thoughts, and with that, it will get your mind back again. Thank you so much. So, Tuzi.
Wow, I'm trying to recover. I'm trying to recover from what I just saw. What just happened? Wow. I'm sure you're so blown away. Wow. did that just happen? Please, can you send me by? Can I just branch and check on the two things?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
All right, thank you so much. That was the Black aka Blacknificent, the illusionist. Now, moving ahead into this program, we're having our second training, and I'm sure you have your notepads ready because it's time to learn. Remember, we are building the mind at the iTHRIVE Conference 2020.
Life coach, a transformational speaker, and a corporate trainer, a senior HR professional, an author, a personal development and career coach, a mentor, singer, and an activist. She was named one of the 31 Caribbean women to watch in 2016. With a sound ovation, make welcome to iTHRIVE Conference 2020, Simone Elbow.
Hello, Simone. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you very much. How are you?
So good to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right. So we can't wait to learn from you. We trust you have a bunch of amazing stuff to share with us, and we're ready to build our minds with you. Yes, you can see your topic, the resilient mind, cultivating mental toughness in tough times. Wow, I'm sure this is packed loaded. So we give it to you now to take it away. 40 minutes. The time starts now.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. I am so appreciative to Coach for inviting me to this, for being back in Nigeria, even though it's virtually. I had the opportunity to be there I think 14 years ago. So I hope COVID will allow me to come back someday soon. And so I'm very honored to be here and to be a part of this amazing conference, all the way from the Bahamas. So my topic today is the resilient mindset, cultivating mental toughness in tough times. And I believe that this is a timeless topic, really, because we will always go through tough times. I am sure that you can recount many occasions where you thought you would not survive prior to COVID-19. And so the resilient mindset is our ability to respond appropriately to when times get tough. And so for me, you know, I've had so many difficult experiences in my life. And this is why this topic is near and dear to me. Because as I was able to build a resilient mindset, I was able to overcome many times the internal obstacles that I had that prevented me from thriving, that prevented me from being as successful as I could be. So let's jump right in. A lot of people feel this way about 2020. Can we just start over? A lot of people feel like, you know what? This year doesn't even count. I can't even count this as a part of my lifetime because it stopped everything that I had planned to do, everything that I thought I was going to do in 2020. Everybody thought this was going to be this landmark year of success and greatness and thriving. And this is the year I was going to do everything that I thought I was going to do. And, you know, this year I actually turned 50 in July, and I had these big plans about how I was going to Europe. I was going to spend my birthday in London, and because I was going to do something different than I ever did before and all of that. And big plans busted, right? Not happening. And if you could agree with that, listen, put that in that live chat. Me, I really thought that I was going to be doing something a whole lot differently in 2020. And as people all over the world are dealing with this particular pandemic, You know, a lot of people are feeling what I have termed this COVID fatigue, right? Like I'm just tired of being in lockdown. I'm tired of having a curfew. I'm tired of being told where I can go, when I can go, how I can go. I'm tired of having to wear a mask that I hate having to wear. You know, I'm tired of using hand sanitizer and all of this other stuff. Like people are just weary of this disruption. And that's what this is. But dare I say that disruptions are necessary? Now, this is an extreme disruption. But I am sure that if you were to reflect on it, you would have experienced some things that have been very positive as a result of this disruption. And that is really the core of having a resilient mindset is your ability to now be able to look at life with a different perspective and using your hardships, your disruptions, your pain as a stepping stone, as a springboard into where you want your life to go. So even though we may want 2020 to just, be done, be gone, there are some very critical lessons that 2020 has come to teach each of us individually, corporately, as in organizations and as nations. And so it would be in our best interest to really learn what those lessons are. One of the biggest lessons that 2020 came to teach us, and you probably would have seen this expression all over the place. You probably heard this word too many times that you even can count and you want to hear again, this word pivot. Pivot, right? The ability to shift how you have functioned, how you have done business, how you live your life. And so this expression, pivot or perish, has become very popular in this time of pandemic. And all it's saying is simply this, that if we don't embrace change, change is inevitable, change is constant. This is nothing new. You've heard all of these things before. And if you don't, you will perish. What does that mean? That if you have an idea, a concept, a method, an approach that has to change based on current conditions, circumstances, based on trends, things that are happening around us, if you don't change, change will happen to you. And I know here in the Bahamas, it's unbelievable when we look at certain businesses that have literally closed their doors. And this even prior to this whole COVID experience. But people that you thought were staples, people that you thought they were iconic, businesses that you never thought would make such a decision, right? I can think of clothing stores department stores, restaurants, iconic, that made the decision because of either an inability to change, an inability to respond to circumstances, now have become obsolete. Who would have thought that those wonderful stores that you can walk into, brick and mortar we call them, that would be competing with competitors that they can't even see all over the world? I can tell you that it is a rare experience for me now to do shopping in a brick and mortar store. I mean, I'm talking about anything. And even here in the Bahamas, oftentimes I shop on Facebook. I go into Facebook Marketplace and I see what people are selling and I make connections. Part of that is because I want to see, to support local business and other entrepreneurs and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's easy, it's convenient, it's fast, and that's what I want. And so when we talk about being resilient, you may say, well, what does this have to do with anything? It has everything to do with resilience, because if we're going to last, and if we are going to outlast challenges, struggles, hardships, loss, we have to be able to change. And our whole perspective about change has to be different. We can't fear it any longer. We have to embrace it. It's like jumping into the deep end of the ocean and not wading into the shadows, in the shallows. You know, I know when we walk into the ocean here in the Bahamas, especially if the water is cold, you know, and you know, us who live in the tropics, we don't like anything that's cold except our drinks, right? Or air conditioning. But when we start to just tip into the shallows, it's easier if you were to just dive in head first, get the initial shock over with, and then the temperature, you adjust to the temperature. Have you ever found that? The next time you go to the ocean, do that. Instead of just trying to tip in, and you're being timid about it, jump all the way in. Embrace the cold, and the cold will shift. I should say you will shift to accommodate that temperature. And so pivoting is critical for us, and resilience is key for us to be able to pivot. And I will share with you why. So let's talk a little bit more about our response to change and crisis, because this is really important. So in this time of what I call change and crisis, because there is element of crisis, there is lots of change happening, rapid change. And I think that's what makes this time very difficult, because as you adjust to one thing as quickly as you could, then there's something else that you have to now think about. There's information that's rapidly changing about this very disease. Like, what should you be afraid of? What should you know about it? What are scientists and doctors discovering as this thing continues to evolve? And so there's this constant information that's bombarding us that gives us this sense of uncertainty. It makes us feel, you know, I don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. I wake up one morning with life one way, and then the next day life is just another way. And you know, we've gone through that here in the Bahamas. We're now in another, I don't know how many lockdowns. So right now, currently, I cannot leave my home until Monday. Right? I mean, we're back to that. And we're actually a full 24-hour lockdown. Only on certain days we're allowed to go to the store or the pharmacy or the gas station or to get water or something like that. And that's it. But prior to that, we weren't experiencing that. You know, it was starting to get relaxed. You know, the curfew was a little later. Yes, we are on a curfew. You know, so it was actually from 9 p.m. They moved the curfew to 10 p.m. And so we were feeling like, okay, your restaurants were starting to open up and people were feeling like, okay, this is starting to get normal, until we opened our borders. Our natives started flying out, going to hotspots in the USA, coming back. And now we're seeing a second wave, cases spiking. So now we're back to a lockdown situation. We're back to business operations having to be closed again, you know, or again, having to pivot and having to do their business strictly online without opening their doors. So there's this rapid change. There's this uncertainty. There are these restrictions. There is loss of income, loss of employment, loss of freedoms, loss of peace of mind, loss of sleep, right? I mean, just a lot of things changing. But it is in our response that we see our strength. So do we see everything that's on the left side? Do we see that as, you know, insurmountable problems? Or do we see this as opportunity, growth, changed perspective, a refreshing, right? Because on the right side, this is what a lot of people have experienced in this time of pandemic, right? Lots of opportunity. So it opened up a market that people never expected. It opened up, you know, doors that people never thought would be open to them. People experienced massive growth. There were some businesses that, you know, had to expand their staffing because they couldn't handle the volume of the business that actually came their way as a result of the pandemic. People face changed perspective, right? People realize, maybe I've been living my life all wrong. There are people who we call them the COVID cooks, right? People who have been in their kitchens, cooking, making things that they never made before. People have been gardening over on this side of the world, doing that backyard garden, doing things that they never thought they would do before, painting and doing creative things, coming up with different ideas to make their business sustainable and viable. People who are doing more with their personal health and fitness goals, right? Because now I don't have much of a choice, or I'm bored being at home. I'm finding different ways that I can exercise and to just focus on my own personal well-being. I'm reflecting more. I'm resting more. I remember in the periods of lockdown and working from home, there were people who would say, I actually would take a nap during the day. And that has been so refreshing to be able to just take a nap, to regroup, to find that personal time, that me time, to focus on self-care. So what is your response to change and crisis? Is it gloom and doom? Or is it, how can I look for the opportunity? How can I look for places where I can grow and thrive? How can I change my perspective about certain things? How can I refresh myself even in times of what seems to be insurmountable crisis? And this may sound like all nice life coach, happy talk, but truly this is a life response to life, because hardships are never going away. It's just seasons of life. There's seasons of plenty, and then there are seasons of lack. And I love the Joseph principle, where you use, and it's such a simple principle, you use your seasons of plenty, you use your seasons of flourishing, you use your seasons of being on top to better respond to your seasons of loss and pain and hardship. So let's dig in a little deeper. What is resilience? So resilience is the process of adapting and recovering from adversity. The process of adapting and recovering from adversity, and the ability to bounce back to the same or better state. So here in the Caribbean and in some parts of North America, we experience what is called hurricane season. And we are actually in the middle of that right now. Hurricane season is between June 1st to November 30th. And in that time, we all in this territory live on pins and needles, because it is our prayer that tropical disturbances do not turn into hurricanes, because hurricanes are deadly. We experienced one last year that rocked our nation. I mean, literally rocked our nation. And we are still just trying to bounce back from that experience. But I bring that up to talk about what happens in a storm. And I don't know if you experience, I know in my time in Nigeria, it was just hot or wet. So I don't know if you experience storms the way we do on this side of the world. But in a storm, there could be very high winds. That's a part of the danger of a hurricane, is the wind factor, and it is the rain factor that can cause flooding. The wind factor can bring great damage. I mean, we've had people that their entire roof fell off, just flew off, objects fly. There were boats on land. I mean, the things that the wind is just volatile, and it takes things and it just throws them. And what's interesting is to watch trees in the wind. And a strong tree will bend, but it won't uproot. A strong tree in a storm, in high winds, will bend, but it would not uproot. And so that is what resilience is. It is that ability to bend. You may bow over, and you may hear people say that, you bend but not break. That's what resilience is. Your ability to now be able to come back to position, to come back to shape. That's what they call elasticity, right? Where you are able to move from being stretched to coming back to the same or better state. You don't want to stretch to the point of breaking. You stretch to a point of popping back into the state that you were in before, or even better, even stronger. That is what resilience is. So when we look at mental toughness, which is a part of resilience, it's your mental ability, your capacity to overcome barriers to your success. This 4C model I found is very powerful. And if you want to screenshot that or take a picture of that, I think that would be really good for you to take and reflect a little bit more on it. But these 4 C's, control, commitment, confidence, and challenge. And in this model, the developers of this model really said that these 4 C's are ways for you to build your mental toughness. And so as you see, let's start in the segment of control. So in control, you have emotional control and you have life control. And so the examples that you would see in there, emotional control really comes out of emotional intelligence, your ability to be self-aware, your ability to manage yourself, you manage your emotions, your ability to be socially aware. So that means to understand and empathize with other people's emotions, and to manage those relationships successfully, keeping yourself and others in mind. And so in your emotional control, you can manage your emotions and of others, right? So when you talk about managing, you're not managing someone else's emotions, you're managing your response to their emotions. So for me, I'm a very sensitive person. I guess people would call that intuitive, or I'm just very discerning of other people and what they feel. But when that becomes unhealthy, and I realized that I was in an unhealthy place with that, is when I allowed other people's emotions to dictate mine. Now that's when you give your power away, right? So when someone else is angry, does it mean then that I am fearful? Does it mean that I'm angry too? Those are your emotions. That's your state. It doesn't have to be my state. And that's a whole different topic for another day and time. So life control is your ability to believe in yourself and in your ability to perform. And you would be surprised, that sounds simple, but a lot of people lack that belief. A lot of people feel like either I can't do it, I don't have the capacity to do it. We look at other people, we compare a lot. Social media has not helped us in this, because we're looking at other people's highlight reel, as we call it. They're putting the best of themselves. And sometimes that's not even real. I've seen people staging, putting themselves in front of these glamorous places and renting homes to do photo shoots and things. And it's not their environment. But by the time you get done looking at it and feeling like the pits because your life doesn't look like that, then you feel like now you don't have control in your own life. And so it starts with your belief. It starts with your faith in yourself, in the God that created you, that you can perform, that you can thrive, that you can succeed. The next C is commitment. And we do that through setting goals, setting targets for ourselves, and then achieving them. And the two of them go hand in hand, because when you set a target and you achieve it and you enjoy doing it, when you achieve it, it releases those happy hormones in your brain that feeds that, and it fuels that. And it makes you want to set more goals and more targets and doing more and more. And I was encouraging Coach offline, and asking, are you excited about this conference? And he's like, yes, I'm excited. And I wanted more out of this first experience. And I said, you know what? The win is in beginning. You set a goal to do this 2-day virtual conference, bringing people from all over the world to be a part of your vision. And so even though your vision may have been bigger than perhaps you thought it was in this time, the fact of the matter is you did it. And so now all you can do is grow it from here. You learn the lessons. What could I do differently? What do I want to change? What worked well? And you keep going, you keep moving. And that is the commitment that you make to your life and to yourself. The next one is confidence. And oh boy, do we struggle in this area. Confidence. So we have to have confidence in our ability that I can do this. And if I don't have the ability, then I can get the ability. I host a mentoring mastermind for young professionals. And guess what? I'm also in a mastermind myself. And there are things that have blown my absolute mind in the mastermind that I'm in. I mean, there are things that I'm learning that I never knew before. There are things that have changed my perspective. And so instead of wallowing around thinking that I can't learn it, or because I don't know it, I can't ever learn it, I realize that our brains have the capacity to stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. And even if there's something that I can do, if I put my mind to it, and there's something that I don't want to do, then I can find somebody who can do it and do it a whole lot better than I can. Doesn't mean that I can't get it done. So I have that confidence in the fact that either I can do it myself or I can find the person to do it for me, but I'm going to get it done. And then interpersonal confidence. I can influence others as much as they do me. A lot of times we enter situations and we enter environments where we feel intimidated. We feel that these are people that know more than I do. These are people who are better probably than I am. And there are. The world is always going to be that way. You're always going to have, and that's the joy of the journey. Because if you didn't have people who were ahead of you, what would you have to aspire to? Who would you have to mentor you? Who would you have to model after if there was not somebody running ahead? And in the same token, you could be that person that's running ahead of someone else, and you could be that one to reach back and help somebody else. So having that confidence in knowing that you can influence others just as much as they can influence you, and we can all learn from each other. The next C is challenge. This is now, how will I stretch myself? How will I take risks? And how will I learn from experience? So how am I going to push myself to go further, to do more? What is my drive to thrive? Ooh, I like that. What is my drive to thrive? And how do I learn from experience? And so as you would see on this diagram, even setbacks are opportunities for learning. Absolutely right. I remember experiencing, and I think in some ways I'm still reeling from the loss of a business, where I had a business and it failed. I lost money, lost everything as a result, had debts, all sorts of things. And you are crushed by that because you believe in your vision. You believe in what you're doing. And so you believe that it should succeed, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing wrong with also learning from, because I learned from that experience certain things that going into business again, I would never do again. I would not do the same way, right? And so that's when we challenge ourselves to do better, to be better, to do more, be more, have more. So those are the 4 C's of mental toughness that I believe are critical to helping us to build that resilient mindset. So I want to just leave a few keys with you as I wind down on my time, and I'm very mindful of my time frame. And so how do we build this resilient mindset? in addition to those 4 C's that I would have shared with you just now. And of course, if there are questions, definitely let's get those questions in so we can talk about those. The first one is to face your feelings. Now, this one is very near and dear to me, very important, I feel, to face your feelings. What does that mean? I think a lot of the criticism that positive thinking gets, positive thinking, having affirmations, and things of that nature, which are all powerful tools to shifting your mindset. A lot of people feel that there's a school of thought that feels that when you think positively, it makes you not think of or acknowledge the negative or the negativity that is associated with what you're experiencing. And I don't subscribe to that. I think that you can be positive and you can be optimistic while facing reality. What I do find, however, and I don't know if this happens in Africa, but I know in this side of the world, there's a huge stigma about being emotional or facing your feelings and seeking support when you're struggling, right? There's this immense pride that we have, you know, that you should be able to be strong and handle everything. You should be a rock, you know, and this is for men and women. I think it may be more so for men because there's this expectation that men are supposed to be strong, that they're never supposed to be vulnerable, that they should not reveal that they have weaknesses and fears and pain. And that's wrong because we're all human beings. We haven't been given as women, as a particular gender, more capacity than the other gender. We are human beings. And those elements of ourselves, of strength and also of vulnerability and emotion is godlike, right? We have both of those elements operating in that deity we call God. And the scripture shows us that, where he shows his strength. He shows his passion for justice and for equity and fighting for what you believe in and all of that. But he also shows his compassion. He also shows his heart, his ability to nurture. So it's not just a male or female thing to have feelings. It's for all of us to feel. It is in our feelings that we find our passion and our purpose. It's those things that bring us to tears or ignite our anger that drive us to fight for a cause. That's a clue to discovering your purpose. So when we get in hardship, it is very important to face and acknowledge what we feel and do not allow people to diminish what you feel, because that's what we tend to do, right? We tend to do that in this region over on this side of the world, of this part of the diaspora. People tend to diminish, right? And how do we do that? When I may say, you know, you may ask me, how are you doing? And of course, that's a question that people tend to not want to hear the real answer for, right? So you ask me, how am I doing? And I say, boy, I'm so stressed out right now. I mean, it's like at the point where some days I don't feel like getting out of bed. Now, your response that diminishes what I feel would say, girl, you just better be grateful for life. You better shake that off. You know, get up out of bed and keep going. Now, you, with all your good intentions, may be thinking that you are encouraging me, but you are also invalidating my feelings. You are invalidating what I feel in that moment. I can get past that moment, but I'm also feeling it right now as well. And so a more appropriate response would be, girl, I know exactly how you feel. I could understand that because I went through that period myself just the other day, and I had to take a few days off, just some mental health days to just kind of regroup and rest and unplug, you know. What do you think you need to bounce out of that. You know, that's a totally different response, and I'm going to feel differently, and I'm not going to feel bad about feeling stressed out, because there's nothing wrong with feeling stressed out. A lot of people are stressed out right now. A lot of people are anxious. A lot of people are just depressed, you know, with good reason. The challenge that we have is, how long am I going to stay in these feelings, right? That's the challenge. And that's what resilience does. Resilience says, I face my feelings, I feel my feelings, but I'm bouncing back. And it is that rate at which I bounce back that makes me thrive. So I can remember days of, you know, fearing criticism. And criticism used to knock me down for days and sometimes months, sometimes years, where you would hear things from people, or you would fear just putting yourself out there. You know, like I sing as well. And there's this local news station that invited me to come on and sing a song. And I was like, no, I don't want to go on there, because I've watched and it's like an online thing that they do. And I've seen the comments, like the people are brutal on those comments, right? And I'm like, I don't want those people to have to rip me apart and say, oh, she sounds terrible, or she looks this way, or she sounds this way, or whatever. But you know what? I overcame that. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it, you know, and I've come to the point of realizing that there are going to be people that like you and that there will be people that don't. And it doesn't matter what you do. That's just life. And so we face our feelings and then we bounce back quickly. So if I get into a confrontation, or, you know, there's something that happens where I'm challenged by someone, now it's not months, weeks and months that I'm wallowing in my despair. Right now, it may just be a couple of days, maybe a day, depending on what it is. Now, it's not to say that certain things aren't going to deeply hurt you. And some things take much longer to deal with. For some things, you know, things like death, or, you know, a breakup or something like that, where it's deeply wounding, right? A betrayal, you know, it may take some time to process what you're feeling, not to throw it away, not to suppress it, not to mask it behind the things that we do, that we develop addictive behaviors, or we go overboard in some other area because we're afraid to face those feelings. We face them, we process them, and we keep moving. And when we are resilient, it means that we do that. The process of doing that becomes much faster. Okay? Next, you may want to reframe your perspective in order to build a resilient mindset. And what do I mean by that? Our previous presenter talked about limiting beliefs, and I love talking about limiting beliefs. And they're really beliefs that, again, hinder you from progress, from success, from just living successfully. And so hardship can cause you to think differently about certain things. So if you, for instance, have lost your job, you know, you may have to look at it as, you know, why do bad things always happen to me? That may be your perspective. You know, why me? Why did they pick me? Why not some other person? You know, or some other thing happens and you're like, I can't ever seem to get ahead. Like every time I make 2 steps forward, I go 10 steps back. That's a perspective. That's a perspective. And what we say and what we believe has a lot to do with the outcomes that we experience. And so we call that a self-fulfilling prophecy in psychology, right? And so if you continue to believe that and you continue to speak that, naturally you're going to have that. So it becomes very important for you to reframe your perspective. Yes, bad things happen. Bad things happen to good people. What am I going to do with this bad thing to turn my situation around? How am I going to look at this? You know, I started an initiative called Men Speak in my own journey of healing as a woman from broken relationships. I realized that in a lot of cases, we just don't understand each other as men and women. And in a lot of cases, women, we don't listen to men. We have a perspective about them that is unchangeable. And it doesn't matter what a man says, we don't want to change our perspective. And so I created this male panel event called Men Speak, and I do it now virtually every third Tuesday of the month. And it's strictly men speaking and sharing their perspective on different aspects of life. And it never fails. Every time we've done the event, there's always someone in there that says, what they're saying is not true. That's not true. I remember we went on the radio one time and we were giving away tickets for the event. And we asked this question, what do you think are the 3 top needs of a man? Whoever can, give your best answer will get free tickets to the event. So many people called in and they said, the only thing that a man ever wants is sex. And one of the men who was a panelist, he said, well, really what I want is intimacy. I want trust. I want support, right? And there were people that were calling in, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's only saying that because he's on the radio. That's not what men want. Like, he's sharing the perspective. This is the perspective. Maybe you need to reframe yours because your perspective is a limiting one. Your perspective is based on perhaps your experiences and the negative experiences that you've had or things that you've witnessed and observed in other people. So it's very important as we build a resilient mind that we shift how we think. And if we find that our thinking is negative, our outcomes are going to be negative. Next, we need to be able to reflect and release. And that's all of these are connected to each other. The release is what I want to focus on most. We need to be able to release, to let go of perspectives, let go of hurts and pains, to be able to forgive. These things sound very simplistic, but you would be surprised to know how the longer you hold on to negativity, the longer you hold on to pain, the more restrictive it makes your life. Unforgiveness has been tied to illness. Unforgiveness is, in some cases, and bitterness connected to cancer, connected to hypertension and other physical ailments that we have, headaches, insomnia, our inability to release negativity from our lives. And does it mean then that we forget? Does it mean that we aren't acknowledging our feelings? Not at all. We are acknowledging, but we're not allowing these things to control our lives. When I studied emotional intelligence, I came across this website, very cool. It's called 6 Seconds, 6 as in the number 6, S-I-X, seconds.org. And their whole premise is the fact that as human beings, we experience an emotion for 6 seconds. When I read that, I was like blown away, like, what? 6 seconds? So when I thought about it, I said, well, people who are constantly angry, people who are constantly depressed, perhaps then they are nurturing those feelings. They are staying in that emotional state because for whatever reason, they are enjoying that state. So when you want to stay angry at someone, you fan the flames, you keep reliving the experience, the things that made you angry, or the thing that made you hurt, or the thing that you feel like you can't ever overcome. You stay in that emotional state. And then you become paralyzed and you aren't able to move forward. So we want to be able to reflect on everything that we experience. And then we also want to be able to release what we've experienced, that not the lessons, but the negativity, the negative charge attached to it. Finally, we want to embrace action. When we become resilient, we move. When we are fearful, when we are overwhelmed, we get stuck. And so it doesn't matter how small it is, take action. And so as I close today, that is what I want to challenge you to do. What is the action that you're going to be committed to taking today to become more resilient? We often see this expression, act now, in sales and marketing, right? Where we want people to buy now while supplies last, right? It's a psychological tactic to get you to act, to get you to take information and to move on it. And so that's my challenge to you as a coach today. What action are you going to take to build a more resilient mindset so that you will move past just surviving a pandemic to thriving in all seasons?
Thank you very much, Simone. That was an amazing session. Talking about resilience and being able to bounce back, that is very key, especially due to this global pandemic that we all in the world have faced currently. So I have some questions for you. So someone asked you to share with us or give us insights on how you bounced back after losing your business.
Yes, that was a very difficult experience. But what I was able to do, one of the things that I found is being very honest and communicating with the stakeholders that were involved. So whether that was staff or people that I had to, do business with or did business for me in my business, people that, I ended up not being able to pay, and just being very open and honest about it, and sharing with them, this is where I'm at, and this is what I want to be able to do. Another thing to do is, again, going back and learning the lessons. What was it that I could have done differently? How could I have planned differently? How could I have prepared differently? One of the things that I found that really led to my downfall in that business was not staying true to my vision. I allowed other people to speak into what they thought I should be doing. And then I started to adjust and morph what I was doing into what they wanted. And that was a part of the downfall. If I had stayed within the niche that I initially had envisioned, then it would have been much better off. Another thing that I had to do was forgive myself. I'm very hard on myself. I'm my own worst critic. And so I had to learn how to just forgive myself from the things that I didn't do well, and celebrate the fact that I tried, celebrate my successes. There were lots of success stories that I did have, and I focused on those. And I just said, next time, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to embrace it. I am not a failure. My business failed. I did not fail. And so again, these are the things that help create in your mind that shift from causing you to be crushed by failure. And it's, again, reframing your perspective. I am not a failure, but my business failed. And I can learn from what happened and grow from it and to keep trying. And it's just like falling off a bike. Anytime you make a mistake, you get hurt. The fear is trying again. And so I've had to push myself to get back up and try again. And those were some of the things that really helped me to get over that.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. One key thing I'm going to take away from what you just said is the fact that when things happen to us, we shouldn't put the blame on ourselves, like, oh, I failed. No, I did not fail. My shoe got bad. No, I did not fail. My business went bad. No, I did not fail. This was what happened, because you also mentioned the fact that what we say when you talked about reframing our perspective, what we say is a likelihood of what will happen to us. So I have another question, and this person is asking, what can young people do to stay motivated, positive, and hopeful in this pandemic?
Yep. I think that, and I'm going to go back to actually one of the questions that was asked in the previous session, and it is having a sense of purpose. Having a sense of purpose and knowing what your purpose is one thing that will keep you motivated, right? For me, understanding that I'm here for a reason, understanding that my life has great meaning and significance, and tapping into what that means then that, again, I am not hopeless. My situation, my environment is not hopeless, you know. And I had a post that I did earlier on in the pandemic, and I said, my purpose is not on lockdown, right? Like, what's happening around me cannot stop me, right? Look at me, I'm in the Bahamas. A part of my purpose is to motivate, to mentor, to mobilize leaders. I am sharing virtually in Nigeria. I may be physically on lockdown, but I'm not locked down. My purpose is not locked down. And so once we have a sense of purpose, I think when we are very mindful of our community, and when I'm talking about our community, our circle, who's speaking into your life? Are you sitting around moping and whining with everybody else about how hard life is? And life is hard. Or are you around people who are going to stretch you, who are going to push you and say, well, take that risk, you know? Get started on that side hustle that you wanted to do, or you wanted to launch something online. What are you doing? How can I help you? Who are the people around you that's speaking into your life in this moment? You know, that is going to help. And trust me, sometimes the people that you care the most about can be the most negative people in your life. It could be the least supportive. And so sometimes you have to create a little bit of distance between you and those persons, because it will affect your mindset. It will affect how you see yourself and how you see your future and your present. And so those, for me, are the two key things right now that's very important. Having that sense of purpose and knowing your why you exist and what you're here to do, and making some moves toward that, you know, doing some things that will elevate that purpose and amplify that purpose. And then being mindful of who you surround yourself with. Being a part of this conference is awesome, because it's going to give you a shot in the arm of motivation and inspiration, and it's going to connect you with some people that can also continue to keep you in that place of momentum. And then the other thing I think is take action. Take action, no matter how small it is. If it is pulling out a journal or pulling out your notes in your phone and writing down some ideas, some dusting off some things that you put down because you just thought it was impossible, start picking those things up. Start taking small actions. Do something differently that is going to shift you into thriving and into that motivation and positivity that you're seeking in this time.
Thank you so much, Simone. You know, you said something just now that has really got me thinking, and that is how that, you know, the people that we care about the most sometimes are the most negative people. Not like they are wicked, but they harm us, they are toxic, you know, and we're not able to maybe let go of them because they are family. So I just want to ask very briefly, like, how do we handle such situations? I can't cut off my family, basically. I can't cut off some kind of friends, maybe because we've known ourselves from, you know, way back, maybe from childhood. but they are very toxic. Like, I feel it that they're toxic, you know, the negative vibes, negativity. Hello, cutie, I can see you. All right, so
He's been fighting to get on camera.
How do you suggest I handle such situations?
I think that what you're talking about is one of the more difficult things that we have to deal with when we are people of purpose and striving to make something of our lives, you know, whatever that may be. And I think what makes that challenging sometimes for the people in our lives is if they have not experienced those things themselves. And so because it represents something that is unknown to them, something that they may be afraid of, they don't want you to go out there, you know, and they may say, well, it's for your own good. I don't want you to get hurt. You know, I don't want you to have these big dreams and then get disappointed. It's for your own good. You know, I'm just trying to tell you these things. So, you know, I'm just trying to protect you, right? These are some of the things. That's some of the things that they say, right? And it's dangerous because what it does is it keeps you in a place of comfort, and it keeps you in a place of stagnancy where you're not moving forward. And, you know, sometimes it may be as drastic as what we say cutting off, right? Like, we can't unfriend our family, right? We have them for life. But I think we have to be very cautious then about what we share with them. Maybe they are not the people who need to be our confidants about our dreams and vision. There's sometimes we just have to work in silence and let them just see the results at the end of the day. You know, some people you will recognize, they will organically just drop away from your life. You know, when you stop sharing or you stop asking for advice, like that was what I used to do. Like, I used to have people in my life, like certain friends, I'm always asking them, well, what do you think? And what do you think I should do? And I based my decisions on what they said. And it put I gave my power away when I did that. You know, I put them in a position of power over me. I put myself in a place of dependency. And when I started to become more independent of that, independent of the need for their opinion, and started to make decisions based on my own direction and guidance and prayer and everything else, then I found that it shifted those relationships. And they are not, you know, sometimes they don't like that change. They want you to be dependent on them. They want you to be asking them for help all the time, you know, because it becomes difficult now for them to interact with you because now they don't understand you anymore. And that's why they will say, well, you're different now. You know, you changed now. Right, what's wrong with you? Well, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just changing. I'm growing as a person, you know? And so now it will cause you to realize that even your friendships will change. And that was one of the things that I feared a lot with success, is the fact that, you know, all of these dynamics in my life are going to change, and people that I don't want to change, like people who I want to be my friends, people who, you know, I want around my life, but it's just, and that's a part of the releasing. That's a part of the releasing. It's hard though. It is hard.
Yeah, I call it the caterpillar to butterfly strategy. You know, the caterpillar cannot always remain a caterpillar. Its main purpose is to turn into a beautiful butterfly. Wow, that's Simone. I'm going to really, really, really watch this over and over. When I find myself slipping into the perspective of other people, I'm sure I'm going to tune into the AMAcademy to watch this particular teaching. All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Precious knowledge. Now we'll be calling on Coach Ayobami to give us a word or two before we dive right into the last session for the iTHRIVE Conference 2020.
Whoa.
It's been a while.
Thank you very much, Coach Simone Bowell. Man, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I celebrate you greatly, having to give us this wealth of information. I want to say thank you very much all the way from the Bahamas. I celebrate you. people just need to understand something. Now, it's step by step. If you don't take the 1, you can't get to the 2. But people want to jump all the way from 0 to 20. And there's no way you're going to take that without either stretching your muscle or breaking a leg. All right? So when you know you want growth, when you know you need to get to somewhere, you have to understand that there are steps to these things. All right? And you have to move step by step. All right? So that is one thing you must understand. So before I bring in the next speaker for today, I want us to understand this. I want us to understand that every single day we wake up, we are reconditioning our mind. Every single day we wake up, we are reconditioning our mind based on what goes through the gates of our life. And that is our eyes, our ears, our mouth, our feeling, our nose. And all those things, if we don't guide them right, negativity can come in automatically, all right? Because they are called what? Automatic negative thoughts. They are bound to just come in. And that is why you must intentionally say, I want to become better. I want to know better. And lastly, another way you can get better at that is what I call modeling. Now, why am I talking about this? The next person coming on this call right now is someone I so much respect. Or I'm not going to introduce him. I will allow the moderator to do that. But this is someone that I value, I cherish. Possibly he doesn't even know the 100% of how I value him. But I've been following him on social media for like 2 years before I was able to meet him physically at a live event. And I got his book. I've been reading it. But what do I know? Based on logistics, now fans don't pay, all right? I don't mind doing that marketing. I don't care, all right? Okay, I do care, but this is somebody with great substance. And why am I saying that? If you know where you want to go and you know where you are, that's awareness. You have to know where you are, but you know where you want to go. Then you can say that, okay, who carries the quality of where I want to be? Do you get? Who has the skill set? Who has seen results in those areas? Then you start back and say, okay, these are the kind of people I want to follow. And the person coming in next is someone that I have so much modeled that I'm learning, I'm still learning, all right? Anybody that is growing must know that they have to keep learning, to keep growing. So that is the power of modeling. Having to know that I want to become something, but there are people that have achieved that success. How can I model what they are doing and also add some hybrid information, hybrid system, so that I can also grow more? So I'm going to allow the moderator to do the welcoming so that we can have the next speaker on, and actually the last speaker for today. So Miss Tuzi, take it away. Thank you very much, Miss Simon Elbow. Thank you so much. So Tuzi, take it away.
Thank you so much, Coach Ayo. Yes, you've heard from the horse's mouth. So our final session for today is going to be handled by a seasoned professional. I know him personally, and I'm sure you cannot wait to meet him.
Yes, sir, you can take the stage, sir. You are good to go.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday, Ayo, the birthday boy.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you so much.
Am I not honored to speak on your birthday? Birthdays are not ordinary.
Thank you so much.
It's a huge pleasure to be here. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Tuzi, for that talk. Thanks. I can see Simone, I can see Victoria and other people. So nice to be here. Thank you for having me. So how's it been so far? I've been following from the sides and following the posts, and I want to say thank you very much, for this conversation. Oh, great, I see. Thank you for that update, Ayo. I appreciate. So, ladies and gentlemen all over the world, first and foremost, we need to say a very big congratulations to Ayo for convening this, and we feel grateful that Ayo, on his birthday, has decided to give the world a gift. And so thank you so much, Ayo, for putting this together. It's just the most beautiful thing that I think, we can get, having a benefit on your birthday. Today, I'm going to talk about taking your life back. And I'm very particular about this subject because I think that I'm a beneficiary of taking my life back. I have lived 41 years and counting on earth, and majority of those years were in another person's shadows, having to live, trying to live for other people until I came to the point where I said, okay, now is the time to start living for me. So my conversation today is pretty much around that topic, how, you can recognize that your life is askew and you can bring yourself back in alignment and live for yourself, living for yourself. But first and foremost, if you think that this conversation is for you, I'd like you to grab a notebook and a pen and take down as much as you can from what I'm going to share today. First things first, we owe a gratitude to all our parents. We owe a gratitude to all our siblings. We owe a gratitude to our friends and loved ones and everyone that has been part of our lives till date, because it is from understanding the sacrifices that they have made that we can understand where we are standing. We're standing on the shoulders of people that have paid a price for us. We are grateful. That's number one. But building on that point, we are also, afraid. We are also aware of the fact that out of the love that our families and friends have for us, they have also made us dysfunctional. Yes, out of the volume of the love that they have for us, they have made us dysfunctional. We have become dysfunctional from the multitude of love that our families and friends and loved ones have for us. Let me give you a typical example. So a typical example is some of you here would love to build a business. You would love to build a strong brand. You would love to, do something you really love, like photography, like fashion, like public speaking, like life coaching, like therapies, those things that looks like creative work. You want to be all out there coding, developing software. Your family is saying, where did you learn that from? Where did you get that from? This is not the thing. This is not a reasonable career. You're supposed to do a professional career, like accounting, like medicine, like, something that people can say, that is my child, is a medical doctor. Those are some of the things we suffered those days, trying to pick a career. I think now things have really softened up. But guess what? Many of you here, or many of you listening and watching, ended up in a career you had no business doing in the first place. You ended up in a career, in a life, in a marriage, in a relationship, in a job, in a complication, let me put it that way, that you had no business being involved. And that is why I'm having this conversation with you. The conversation here says that when you look at where you are, is that where you really want to be? And on a scale of 1 to 10, from a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rather be? And these are the very subtle conversations that we need to start having. Psychologically speaking, are you where you want to be? Many people have come to the point where they have suppressed their own life's goals to accommodate the life goals of a sibling, the life goals of a spouse, the life goals of their parents, and the life goals of their children. I am one person that believes that I have 2 daughters. And I tell my daughters every time I have a chance, I tell them, you see me, your dad, I have my life to live. I will live my life to the fullest, the way I can, while I'm embracing and inspiring you to live your life to the fullest, the way I can. I have come to recognize that I can't be a perfect dad, but I will do the best I can as a dad. I may not be the perfect human, but I will be the best possible human, the best way I can. That understanding keeps me going. Because at the end of the day, you realize that you have lived the sum total of your life trying to please other people. If you have a pen and a sheet of paper, I'd like you to draw a line, a straight line, a horizontal line. And for those of us that are on Zoom, if you can, I'd like you to write in the chat room, when you have drawn it, just write done in the chat room, if you can, so that I can be sure that we're together. Write done when you've drawn a straight line. Write done when you've drawn a straight line. Yeah, fantastic. So that straight line. Then I'd like you at the beginning of the line, just put a point or draw a vertical line to cross the horizontal, just a bit, just cross it at the beginning of the line. That is on the left-hand side, at the beginning, just cross it. Write down when you have. Write down when you have. Yeah, fantastic. Then measure like one, do they call it 1 foot or 1 arm or 1 palm? Just a bit, like maybe 10 centimeters or 1 meter or something from that first line. Draw another line. So that's going to be the second line, like 1 meter away from the first line. You draw it. Tell me if you've done it. Tell me done. We're going somewhere very significant. We're going somewhere very significant. Have you done that? So far we should have 2 lines. 3 lines, horizontal, 1 first line, then the second line just a bit away from the first line. Fantastic. When you've done that, then draw another line 1 meter away from the second line. Draw another line across 1 meter away from the second line. Are we good? Let me know when you're done. Fantastic. So let's use this line. This line you have just drawn is the line of your life. Completely. It's the line of your life. And what do I mean? Before the first line, before the first cross line, that is eternity before. That first cross line, I want you to name on top of it, right on top of it, conception. The first cross line, right? Conception. Conception. The first cross line, right? Conception. If you're done, let me know. Conception. Conception. Then the second cross line, right? Birth. The second cross line, right? Birth. First cross line, conception. Second cross line, birth. Anybody? When you're done, write done. When you're done, write done. Fantastic. The third cross line, right? Translation. Translation. The third cross line, right? Translation. The first cross line is birth. The second cross line, the first cross line is conception. The second cross line is birth. The third cross line is translation. If you've done that, write done. You done? You done? Fantastic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before you were conceived, that is before the conception, you existed somewhere. There was an Ayobami, there was a Tuzi, there was a Simone, there was a Victoria, and there were the Sams, the Johns, the siblings, the twins, the triplets. They were the everybody before conception. So prior to conception, you existed. And after translation, you are back to existence. So the period before conception and the period after translation is the same zone, is the same place. Some people call it heaven. Some people call it eternity. Some people call it whatever you want to call it. It is primarily outside earth. If that's the case, it means that Before you were conceived, there was a profile that you were. There was an identity that you carried. There was a personality that you are. There was a figure that you represented. There was a mission that you were sent. There was a nomenclature that you carried. So let us test your understanding of who you really are. Before you were conceived by your mother, I want you to write in your jotter, who were you? Write it for me in your jotter. Write, I was his spirit, I was confident, I was all powerful, I was in the presence of God, whatever appeals to your fancy. Write the attributes of you before you were conceived, before your father and your mother met and had intercourse and conceived you. Define for me what, yes, in eternity, what was your attribute? What were the attributes that define you in eternity? Write it down in your jotter. If you want to write it in this chat room, it's a very welcome development. What are the attributes that govern you before you were conceived? Before you were conceived. Write those attributes. Come on now. Write those attributes. Write those attributes, yeah? If you've written at least 5 attributes, let me know. Just say done. If you have written at least 5 attributes, please write done. If you have written at least 5 attributes, please write done. And what were the examples you wrote? I would like to see at least a sample of what you're writing as your attributes. Wholeness, powerful, unlimited. I like that. This is beautiful. So I'm certain that in your heart of hearts, in your chest of chests, in your spirit of spirits, in your person of person, you are confident that before I was born on this earth, before I was conceived, I was so immensely powerful. I was unlimited. I was inspirational. I was boundless. I was complete. I was whole. I was designed for greatness. I was this, I was that. That's the reality. That's your truth. You need to recognize that. That's your truth. So before you were conceived, you had a nature. You had a definition. You had a concept. You had a profile. You had a configuration. That is who you were. That's who you were. Then you were conceived. The moment you were conceived, guess what happened? Suddenly, your fetus started growing in your mother's stomach. As your fetus was growing in your mother's stomach, at a point, biology says your heart started beating. They sensed pulse. They started reading your pulse with those lines. Then your sensory organs started building. And the first sensory organ is the power of hearing, the sense of hearing. You started hearing words. People are murmuring outside. You're inside the stomach, inside water. You know, you are moving inside the belly like this. You are swimming, tumbling. But you were hearing sounds from outside, like distant sound. You hear somebody crying. You hear somebody laughing. You hear your mother screaming. You hear your mother crying. Oh my God, what's going on? You hear your mother anxious, afraid, sleepy, not sleeping, losing sleep, eating too much, not eating too much. You were sensing these vibrations. They were hitting you. Guess what? 9 months. So the distance between the first cross line and the second cross line is gestation. The 9 months you were carried in pregnancy. That 9 months were the most significant in your life because that was where you started learning fear. That was where you started learning caution. That was where you started learning how to laugh. That was where you started learning how to cry. That was where you started learning lack of food for those that lacked food. That was where you started learning lack of shelter for those that lacked shelter. That was where you started learning aggression because your mom was screaming or cursing. That's where you now started learning. You learned a lot of things via vibrations in 9 months. Now, compare the profile before you were conceived and the profile by the time you were born, which is the second cross line, your birth. A lot has changed about you. The boundless guy, the powerful girl, the unlimited soul, the whole person is suddenly wondering, this place I'm going, they are crying. Oh. This place I'm going, there is hunger. Oh. This place I'm going, there is noise. This place I'm going, there is evil. This place I'm going, there is hunger. This place I'm going, there's no. You started learning vibes and fashions and value and interest, and it's eroded on your capacity. It eroded on your capacity. So the moment you were conceived till the time you were born, it reduced your power compared to where you were coming from. But that was just a tip of the iceberg. Then you were born. They born you. They smack you. Cry. You finish crying. They say, oh, carry him. Cold. They'll breastfeed you. You're not eating. You go, you poo. Oh, they say join this for some people. Hey, fever for some people. Oh, sickness. As you were going through that transition biologically, you were seeing people's responses to life. You were associating with their fears. You were associating with their aspirations. You were associating with their concerns. You were associating with their dreams. You were associating with a lot of things. Guess what? You were learning how to live on earth. That is completely different from how you were when you were coming from. So I've said this story to let you know that who you are on earth is less than who you were before you were conceived. And the philosophy of taking your life back is for you to keep associating with the attributes you were before you were conceived. If you're going to take this life and rule and win and thrive, you must write a list of the attributes that you were before you were conceived, so that you can constantly associate with those attributes and aspire for them, and aspire to express it, and aspire to live it, and aspire to become it, and aspire to reenact it. That's the only way to thrive. Because given by what happens on earth, you cannot be like you were before you were conceived. Now, that's not even the bad news. The baddest news is that when you now die, which is translation, the chances that you will return back to eternity, how you came from eternity, is completely lost. That is why some people will go to hell, but that's not where they came from. Some people will go to heaven, but they will have been battered on earth, not how they came from heaven. So this is a very fundamental subject. It sounds like funny, like I've been so dramatic, but I'm hoping you can pick the philosophy I'm talking about. I'm hoping you can get the concept I'm talking about. And I want you to understand, for you to thrive, number one rule, write a list of the attributes you are before you were conceived. That's number one rule. Number one rule. Number one rule is, who was I before I was conceived? It's very key. Now let me move on to step number two. Step number two, I want to ask a question here. If the President Muhammadu Buhari today calls me and says, hi, Sam Obafemi, my government has decided to appoint you as the ambassador to, which country do I wish I can go and die safe? Maybe, I don't even know the country. I don't know yet. But let's say they post me to say Brazil. So let's say the president says, Sam Obafemi, we are sending you to Brazil as our ambassador. Let's assume the date of that conversation and the letter I was issued as ambassador came in on 8th of August, 2021. Are you with me? I'm going somewhere. The letter appointing me as ambassador was given to me on the 8th of August, 2021. Then my family did send forth, hey, our family member, don't be ambassador. It's our turn to shine. It's our turn to eat government money, blah, blah, blah. Government does their ceremonies. I travel to Brazil with my family. I arrived Brazil 1st of September 2021. 1st of September 2021. So there are 2 dates. The first date is the date I was issued a letter, 8th of August 2021. The second date is the day I arrived Brazil to resume, the day I meet the president of Brazil to report that I have arrived from Nigeria as the ambassador to Brazil, is 1st of September 2021. I want to ask you a question. Which day did I become ambassador? Which of the 2 dates did I become ambassador? Somebody help me. Which of the 2 dates did I become ambassador? Is it 8th of August or is it 1st of September? Which of those dates did I become ambassador? Victoria says resumption. Ayobami says 1st of September. Okay. Victoria says 1st of September. Okay. Simon says the day you got the letter of appointment. Okay. Okay. Who else? I'll take one more from the Zoom. I know that YouTube, you guys will be commenting for yourself there. We'll see you later. Yeah. So one more comment. So Victoria says 1st of September. Ayobami says 1st of September. Simone says the day I got the letter. So ladies and gentlemen, oh, YouTube people are saying 8th of August. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is 8th of August. The only thing that will not make me go to Brazil as ambassador is if the same president says, I changed my mind. But the moment I was served a letter on the 8th of August, that day I became ambassador. It didn't matter when I resumed, because already a dispatch has been sent to the High Commission in Brazil to say, we're expecting a change. Whoever is there, prepare to come back home as soon as you receive the new ambassador. Why did I say this? I say this because you just drew a line talking about preconception, talking about conception, talking about birth, talking about translation. Ladies and gentlemen, the day you were conceived is the day you were appointed to earth as an ambassador, not the day you were born. The day you were conceived means that that's the day that God decided that magic between your father and your mother clicked. It was an appointment. It was an issuance of a letter. But that's not where I'm going. I'm going somewhere. Stay with me. If I go to Brazil as ambassador of Nigeria to Brazil, when I land at the airport, am I going to be looking for taxi to carry me? Am I going to say, I'm stranded here. Which taxi will carry me? Or where am I even going? I didn't even get address. Is that what is going to happen? Not likely. The likely thing is that the Nigerian office in Brazil would have prepared for my coming, prepared for my pickup, prepared my accommodation. As I'm arriving, there is an appointment to see the president of Brazil. I will go and see the president of Brazil. Literally speaking, anything I need in Brazil will be catered for by the Nigerian government, because I am not representing myself in Brazil. I am representing the Nigerian government in Brazil. What that means again is when there is a crisis in Brazil, whether they are beating each other, fighting each other, killing each other, stabbing each other, whatever is going on, it is not my business. You know why? Because I am not a citizen of Brazil. I am covered. That is why in Nigeria today, the United States will send a mail to their citizens and say, don't go to so places. Don't go beyond so boundaries. If not, your immunity and security is not guaranteed. The British government will send a mail to all their citizens in Nigeria. Don't go to this state or that state or that state. You must protect yourself and stay in so place. Why are they doing that? They are doing that because every nation looks out for its own. Now, let me bring it home. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't belong here. You don't belong here. You are an ambassador. Issued a letter at the date of your conception. arriving at the country you were sent on the day of your birth. So in Nigeria, in the world here, we celebrate birthday. Oh, birthday. Today is your birthday. Do shakara. Today is your birthday. Do shakara. Today is your birthday. Do shakara. But the day of your appointment was the day you were conceived. And that is why in pregnancy, you are nourished. In pregnancy, it's like taking a flight to Brazil. You're an ambassador or in transit. It's private jets. All the resources for flying. You don't have to book flights. You don't have to book pilots. You don't have to pay for anything. You're not buying tickets. You're just, it's a dispatch. It's a national assignment. It's the same thing. When you were conceived, it was an assignment. So you were nourished in pregnancy. You were fed. You were catered for. That is why no matter what was happening to your mother, you were shielded from it. The amniotic fluid that normally breaks when a woman wants to give birth, that was your shield. You were shielded from everything. But you were getting feedback, you were getting information, news, and you were being degenerated, yeah, but you were shielded. So when you were born was when you arrived in Brazil and showed up to be ambassador at the presidency. And that is why I want to tell you today, no matter what happens to you on earth, you are shielded if you maintain your connection with home, and home being where you come from. But many of you mortals have forgotten where you come from. And you're busy fighting for every penny and every dollar and every pence and every cent and every CD and every naira. And you feel like somebody's trying to steal your idea. Somebody's trying to steal your customer. Hey, this person hates me. Oh, that person doesn't like me. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Hey, man, that's too much work. Too much work. You don't know where you're coming from. You've forgotten yourself. You've forgotten yourself. You've forgotten the power that you are. You're an ambassador. It's not possible for the ambassador of Nigeria in any country to say, Mr. President, I'm hungry here. This place no biam at all. Wallahi, hunger day. It's not possible because you're not there of your own volition. You are there on behalf of the nation. That is why if you go to the US embassy in any country, you are technically in the US. That's what it means. If you go to the Nigerian embassy in any country, you are technically in Nigeria. That is what it means. So you are the ambassador. And the beautiful thing is you are also the embassy. So for some of us that are conversant with scripture, it says heaven already lives inside of you. It is you that needs to connect with it because you disconnected from it. It did not disconnect from you. Heaven never disconnected from us. We disconnected from it. Why? Because we felt that we could, this earth is so peng. This earth is so lit. This earth is so on point. What happened to you? It's just like going to Brazil and Nigeria is saying, don't go to what's their locations. Don't go to here, don't go to there. And you're like, nah, I got it covered. Don't worry, people. Don't worry, people. Mr. President, don't worry. You're now going to enter the slums. Sao Paulo, Oshejare, São Paulo. Thank you, Simon. You're now going to enter the slums and all those they are very funny, interesting places. Whatever happens to you there, or is your case, you know what has transpired? It means that you got to Brazil, you disconnected from your roots, and you went into the abyss. That's what happens to many of us on earth. If you want to thrive, you must reconnect. Now, when I say reconnect, I'm not now saying, be religious, be saying by the grace of God in Jesus' name, by God's grace, inshallah, blah, blah, blah. Those rhetorics don't count. Many of us are hung up on those Christianese. Every statement you make, you say in Jesus' name, by the grace of God. Hey, the grace of God will help us and cover us, and Holy Spirit, it is well, blah, blah, blah. I have no issues with those things. But the truth is, connecting with home has nothing to do with the things we say. Rather, it has everything to do with the energies we maintain. It has everything to do with the energies we meditate on. It has everything to do with the energies we project. Do you project fear? Do you project lack? Do you project curse? Do you project loss of hope? Do you project anxiety? Do you project discouragement? If you do, you've disconnected. So you can go on saying it is well 24 hours in a day. If you still say that out of fear, brother, sister, you have disconnected. But if you project hope, positivity, confidence, assurance, the discipline that you know that anyhow, this thing is going to turn out well, the self-esteem, the self-assurance, those are the energies that come from home. Nothing from eternal is negative. Nothing from the place, from the throne of God is negative. Nothing. So when you find yourself associating with negativity and fear and doubts and backwardness and anxieties and any dysfunctional emotions, check it. It is not coming from home. It is coming from earth. It is coming from your new location, because home will never leave you stranded. Never. Home will always send reinforcements. Always. So I need you to understand that. So I shared number 1 point earlier. Talked about the fact that you are an ambassador. You came from home. Here is not your home. Number 2 thing is, it is completely unacceptable to lack. If you want to thrive, you must live in a surplus mentality, because you know where you're coming from. Number 2, if you want to thrive, you must live in a surplus mentality, because you know where you're coming from. I'll say it again. If you want to thrive, you must live in a surplus mentality, because you know where you're coming from. Where you're coming from, there can never be lack. There is always an abundance. There is always surplus. There is always something for you. That is where you come from, unless you don't believe where you come from. So that's number 2. Number 3, and I'm going to round up on this point. Number 3, United Nations says that there are 7.8 billion people on earth as of today. If you Google it, you'll see 7.8 something billion people on earth. What that means is there are 7.8 billion people currently living that came from God. I want you to take note of that statement. 7.8 billion people currently living that came from God. 7.8 billion people currently on earth, we all come from God. The vehicles to our birth were human beings, but we were primarily sent by God to earth. If that is true, but let me even ask, do you believe that statement, that the 7.8 billion people on earth come from God? Let me get your answers in the chat room. Do you believe in that statement? Is it a yes or a no? 7.8 billion people come from God. Fantastic. Now, if that is the truth, if that's the truth, if that's the hypothesis, then what that means is my allegiance, my loyalty, my obeisance, my worship, my adoration, my aspiration should connect with God. That's just the logic. If I come from God, the only person I'm answerable to is God. Do you believe that too? That to the person you are primarily answerable to is God. Your loyalty, your worship, your obeisance, your allegiance should be to God. Good. Second hypothesis, let's assume that is also correct. If that is correct, then why do you and I rely on the validation, the affirmation, the endorsement, the inspiration, and the trust of man? So you're looking horizontally at the 7.8 other billion people, and you've forgotten the connects. So instead of taking instructions from God and processing it and weighing it and analyzing it and running with it, you receive instructions from God. You now go to Adam and say, this thing I received, do you believe it will work? The person will now say, it will not work. You now say, I knew it will not work. I know say this thing no go work. Meanwhile, you got the inspiration from God. It works me up. It's like, wow. God sent you an idea. You now go to another man that God sends his own idea to ask if your own idea is valid or correct or should be done or is valid, is something. That one will now say, come on, shut up there. You say you want to be a public speaker. Shut up your mouth there. You're public speaker, everything, public speaker. What do you mean? Of course, what do you expect him to say? Because God, it is only you. You know, there's a place in scripture. I would not really want to quote scriptures here. There's a place in scripture that says there are only two people that know a man. Only two people know a person. The person himself and God, the Holy Spirit. Those are the only two people that know a person. No matter how long Ayobami relates with me, he cannot know me. No matter how many years I relate with Ayobami, I cannot know him. Even the child, I have two daughters. My first daughter is 11. My second daughter is 9. Despite that I've been in their lives for the last 11 and 9 years respectively, I still don't know them. So if you are hung up on somebody has to tell me I'm good, then I'm good. Somebody has to tell me I'm intelligent, then I'm intelligent. Somebody has to tell me I'm beautiful, then I'm beautiful. God damn. See, I fine. Me, say, I know, say I fine. I don't need you to tell me that. I'm brainy. I know it. I'm deep. I know. Because I know where I get my vibes from. I know where I get my vibes from. So you need to come to terms with where you get your vibes from. When you wait, you know, this touches me in a special way because even my friends, my own contemporaries that we have come a long way, one time and the other tell me, hey, Sam, I have this idea. What do you think? You know, you are the coach. You know, you have done a lot of work. You have a lot of experiences. So can you tell me whether this thing will fly or not? I look at my friends and I'm like, wow, like seriously? You need me to tell you if your idea is good enough? I tell my friends, I'm not the person to ask. I'm not eligible to tell you your idea is good enough or not. It's a function of you. You need to sit down and say, this idea, I will learn on it. If it works, I will celebrate it. If it doesn't work, I will learn from it and start something. You have to embrace your own nomenclature. So if you want to thrive, ladies and gentlemen, you must accept the fact that you are the only authority over your life. If you will thrive, you must come to terms to know that you are the only authority over your life. Now, don't get me wrong. There are principles like honor your father and your mother. That's the only honor promise that comes there. That's the only law or some commandment that comes to the promise. There's the law of relationships. You know, the more you honor people, the more honor comes back to you. You know, the emotional intelligence angle, the cultural intelligence angle, the IQ, the social intelligence. All those principles, they are very valid. Very valid. Jesus himself would not have been successful if he didn't use people on earth, if he didn't bond and relate with people. So nobody is questioning whether you're saying, is Coach Sam now saying I don't need anybody? No, I didn't say so. But what I'm saying is the validation of your essence is not in the hands of any man. That one is yours. In fact, you have been so empowered by God to choose the people that will be in your cycle. Have you not seen people that grew up and said, my parents are not fueling my mission on earth. I will leave them. I have a daughter, not biological. When I say daughter, I mean like protege. On her wedding day, her father walked to the door of the church with her from the car. So from the car to the door of the church and handed her over to the man that has been paying her bills since she was in secondary school. He told her, I am not eligible to walk you to the altar. So this man that has raised you, he took my place. He paid the price. I absconded. I was not there. So he walked her to the door. I'm talking of someone I attended the wedding. It's not them. Say, he walked her to the door, handed her over to a man who walked her to the altar because he felt that man deserved the honor. So when some of you are saying, only my biological father can do something, only my biological mother can do something, it's a belief system that has held you bound. I don't know who this message is for, but you need to know that when you have validated something in your spirit, it is honored in heaven. And it's scriptural. Anything you bind on earth, you send signal, they will stamp it. Bah. Anything you lose on earth, you send signal, they'll stamp it. Bah. You need to understand that the only person that has authority over you is you. So I've said 3 significant things today, and I'm technically done. So let me take questions at this point. Oh, Tuzi just sent me a reminder. Thank you, Tuzi. And funny enough, I'm good. So I'm done. I can take questions now. And then, I really appreciate Ayobami. Thank you for having me. Happy birthday. I hope you enjoyed my talk. And I hope everybody got something from this. I sincerely appreciate the privilege. Thank you very much.
Wow, Coach. I feel like clapping for you right there. Wow, that was awesome. Like,
thank you.
That was a lot. That was a whole, but I can't even talk. That was a whole lot. Thank you for delivering with vulnerability. It's one thing to teach, and it's one thing to teach from experience, teach with examples, and relate with a particular audience. We are Nigeria, they're feeling all the easy and PG, you're adding to the whole thing. Thank you so much. So we're going to Simone said she feels punched in her stomach. It was wholesome.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to latch on to this section. So while we await questions, I'd like Ayobami to say 1 or 2 things while we await questions. I'm sure people are still trying to process all that you said, because the truth is, these are the things that we share every blessed day, but it didn't really sink deep. You saw the answers we all giving. September, that's when we're supposed to be due. And those kind of mindset and ideologies are what even hinders us from taking action. When we still go ahead, and you said something I will not forget. Instead of us to receive instruction horizontally from the person that has sent us, we're taking instruction vertically. Sir, don't leave me, please. Let me welcome Coach Adman.
Wow. Thank you, Coach Sam. I celebrate you. I celebrate you greatly. You said something at the end that we need to connect back to the source.
Yeah.
Not literally, paraphrased.
Yes.
And while I was coming up with this, let me say this before that. You said something that when God gives you an idea, why validate it from a fellow man? When people ask me, when did iTHRIVE conference start? I was mistakenly telling them that it was 6 weeks. I had to go back to when I sent you a message of request. That was 3rd of July. Yes. That is just like 1 month, 4 days ago. I got this message just maybe 3 days before that. So that means that iTHRIVE conference came to me just about, 5 weeks ago. Now, that night I got the idea. Now, guys, if you are watching me right now, I want you to be writing it down. I might not be able to give you in points because it's just coming out of me right now. And it's true. So use it. I sat down. So when you get an idea, don't say, I'm going to wait tomorrow to think about it. Write it down. Write it down. Write it down. I have read, okay, who should I call? Who are in this industry? Ayo wants to be the Nigerian #1 mindset coach. Okay. The idea God has given him is in line of mental health so that the people can build the right mindset. How will it happen? Okay. If you notice, I sent 2 schedules, right?
Yes.
The first one wasn't as detailed as the second. So understand, your plan will not be fully as formed. Okay.
True.
When I was doing my master's, there's this something I learned during agile programming, software engineering, agile programming. It's not meant to be 100%. You build and you build. Why do you think that you have your software be updated? They will tell you version 1 something, version something, and they always keep on taking 3 megabytes from your phone. So, I just look at it. Now, let me go back to the first point of sight. Your thoughts and you are connected to your source is very important. Let me tell you this. I learned it from Apostle Joshua Selman, and I give him the credit. He said, to every man created, you command your life based on what you say and based on what you think. All right, the great book analyze it. All right, that what we ask of things of what we ask and think.
Yes.
That means that your mouth can be saying that God, I want this, God, I want this, but your mind is fighting you.
Yes.
It's fighting you. And okay, let's go back to history. The children of Israel. All right, this is written history, not just biblical, it's history. Where they're supposed to travel 40 days, they couldn't because of what? Their mind.
Yeah.
And if you look at how long they stayed in the wilderness, it's for what? 40 years.
Yes.
Which is equivalent to what? A generation. That means that generation had to die because of their mindset, because of what they faced, of what their conditioning, the way they have been slavery. A new generation has to come up so that they can what? Move on. That means that if your mind is not right, there's possibility that you can what? Be stuck in your past. All right. I don't want to make this look like another teaching, but understand this. Make sure that what you are saying aligns with what your mind is saying, so that you can as well just bring them together in getting the same result that you are what? Praying for, working for, pushing for. Correct. So that is the information for today. Thank you very much. Let me see if we have any question coming in, but right now I can't see any question right now. I want to say thank you very much. That means that there's no more question coming in, because I think I spoke for like 2 minutes and there wasn't a response. So thank you very much, Coach Sam.
Thank you.
And
celebrate you too.
Okay, okay. Let me just open it up. Like when I say you are a great coach and I'm following you, like I didn't come to you to like, okay, be my mentor. And that is one thing I learned this. If you want to be somewhere, they say what? Your life is controlled by what goes into your life. That's why I talk about guiding your gates of life initially. Now, I couldn't connect with Coach Sam about 2 years ago physically. What did I do? I was following his post. So you don't have to be physically present with where you want to be. Connect through their books, connect through their audio lessons, connect. Social media is there, connect through their social handles. See, they say when you feed yourself with a great percentage of information, you become that information in the real self. Correct. So you might not be close to what happened. Law of attraction happened. I was in Kwara State. Law of attraction happened one way or the other. Something brought me to Abuja. And I connected with Sam.
Remember.
Yeah. So and I had an awesome section in the first section I had with him. Like it was so awesome, and that was in line with a little bit of business study group when I was trying to like put structures in Demo Up Global. For those that know me in the capacity building and financial intelligence business company, Demo Up Global. And I was like, oh man, thank God I'm meeting him for the first time. And like, I had to buy the book when I was in Lagos, but what do I know? I devoured the book. I bought the second book based on logistics. I devoured the book. Like now, I already pre-ordered the latest one, which is Fans Don't Pay. All right. So what you want to be, don't be humble. All right. Let me talk like, what is his name? I can't remember the rapper's name. Be humble. All right. Be humble. Be humble. Be humble. Learn. No, tell me, we are live. Tell me. Kendrick Lamar, be humble. All right, be humble. Learn. See, oh God, I need to watch. I'm learning and I need to watch this again to learn again. Why? You have to understand the aspect of before you are this physical self, this is just a body. Your real self is a spirit. I don't want to go into spiritual stuff right now, but make sure what you are saying with what is going on in your mind align. Why? Yeah. You are a spirit being and you want to result in the physical. What connects them, the interface, is your mind. The interface, what gives balance is your mind. All right, so I'm just going to allow Coach Sam, your final word, no question right now. Your final word, what you want people to take up, because I'm going to be giving you a great announcement after this, but I want Coach Sam to say his final word before I bring in the final information for us to get. So, Coach Sam, please, your final word.
Thank you so much, Ayobami. I really appreciate this opportunity. And to everyone that has supported your work, I pray that the harvest of genuine support will visit them. In Jesus' name. I pray that everyone here has a chance, that epiphany, that Rema, that moment of truth where you find that this is who I really am. Because sometimes some of us accidentally bump into it like Saul. on his way to Tarsus, who became Paul. That moment when it just happens and you're like, God, this is that moment. I pray that we have that moment so that for the rest of your life, nobody is even, nothing like somebody is discouraging you, somebody is demotivating you. I don't know what on earth today can discourage me. I've not seen it. I'm so fired up. So I pray for that moment so that you can be a game changer, a life changer, and ultimately go back to the eternity you came from, not the other side of it. That's my prayer for all of us. Thank you, Ayobami. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Coach Sam. And if not for pandemic, if not for COVID-19, you would have been seeing me more like not in the office, but in your home. And I'm cyber stalking you everywhere you go, whether you like it or yes. All right. So I'm going to play our theme song right now. I know we don't know the lyrics, but please just flow with it as I play it, and please let's learn.
Correct.
How do you see the future? How do you hear the whispering sound? How do you own the future? How do you make yourself a star? If there's one thing that will matter in the wheels of time, is all the make upon the sands of time. And when history will be read and stories will be told, we all be worth the while. So build your mind. Let us shape the thoughts we have. Let us make our minds the greatest part of all. So build your wall. Let us declare our hearts a brooding place. Shape the way we think as we strive for the better part of ours. As we strive for the better part of ours. Build your minds. Let us shape the thoughts we have. Let us say the better part of ours. So build your wall. Let us declare our hearts a brooding place. Shape the way we think as we strive for the better part of us. As we strive for the better part of us. Stand your ground, don't let life fool you. Keep your head above the water still. Oh, yeah. If you used to hear the whisper, there is more for those who still believe. Oh, yeah. If you hear the future calling, pick yourself up, strive to be the best. Yeah, oh, yeah. Remember to hold your dreams up high. Don't give up, you will still win. Oh, yes, oh. Build your minds. Let us shape the thoughts we have. Let us make our minds the greatest part of all. So build your wall. Let us declare our hearts a brooding place. Shape the way we think as we strive for the better part of us. Oh, as we strive for the better part of us.
All right, and I'm back with you to end iTHRIVE Conference 2020. Before I do that, I want to say thank you very much to all the speakers. Thank you very much, Moses Abayowa. Thank you very much, Tolutola Omotosho. Thank you very much, Kara Coach, Kara Sandu. Thank you very much, Dayo Samuel. Thank you very much, Simone Elbow. And thank you very much, my awesome coach, Sam Obafemi. And I dare not forget the awesome team that has been on this. Thank you very much. The Thrive champions, thank you for everything, sharing the information, broadcasting it, helping your friends to learn better, helping them grow in what they ought to do better, and that is building their minds. And before I close this, I want to ask you this great question. Are you willing to push this to the next level? When we're talking about this, helping people out there, sharing this information, are you willing? If you are willing, drop a yes in the comment section. If you are willing to join this movement, drop a yes, I'm willing in the comment section. Drop a yes, I am willing in the comment section. All right. And while we do that, I'm going to share a screen as we take our mantra for this. All right, let me see if I see that. All right, good. I'm going to share my screen right now so that we can say this mantra together and we are not holding back. All right. If you can see it, drop a yes. All right. If you can see it, drop a yes. All right. If you can see it, drop a yes. All right, good. It is right there. Now let's say this together. Let's say this together. 1, 2, go. I am Ayobami Atolagbe. I am responsible. I am in control. I am the best. I build the right mindset. I thrive. I thrive. I thrive. Let's say for the second time. Put your name there right now. I am Ayobami Atolagbe. I am responsible. I am in control. I am the best. I build the right mindset. I thrive. I thrive. I thrive. For the last time, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. For the last time, put on the energy. Let's go. Put on the right mindset. Let's go. I am Ayobami Atolagbe. I am responsible. I am in control. I am the best. I build the right mindset. I thrive. I thrive. I thrive. All right, guys, and that is it. That is it. That is it. That is it. All right, that is the information. I hope you got that. I hope you got that. I hope you got that. I'm super excited for this. Now, who is ready for iTHRIVE 2021? Woo! Who is ready for iTHRIVE 2021? If you are ready for iTHRIVE 2021, write down their comment, iTHRIVE 2021. If you are ready for iTHRIVE 2021, drop it right now in the comment section, iTHRIVE 2021. All right, let me see it before we call it a night. iTHRIVE 2021. Then we'll take it up from there. Woo! I can see there. Simone is ready for iTHRIVE 2021. What other person is ready? What other persons are ready, man? Let me see down there. All right, super ready. 5 more persons. I'm going to give the announcement. 5 more persons. I'm going to give the announcement. 5 more persons. I'm going to give the announcement. Awesome, awesome. And the theme for iTHRIVE 2021 is no limits. If you can see, drop it in the comment section. If you heard what I said, no limits. Drop it right now. All right, that is it. No limit. Let's go. No limit. Let's go. Let's go, guys. No limits. All right, that is what iTHRIVE 2021. No limits. Let me see you comment right now. Let me see you respond fast. Good. Chukwemeka Kajera, super ready. Super ready. Sophia Adepoju, super ready. iTHRIVE 2021. Asana Kiro 2021. If you can hear me, type in the theme of 2021. No limit. Awesome. 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 So that is it. I want to tell you this again. This whole vision came in just 5 weeks ago. Though I've been building capacity for it. All right. I have been building what? Capacity for it. All right. It didn't just dawn on me one day that, okay, I need to call coach. I've been learning. I've been building. I've been training. I've been learning, relearning, unlearning. All right. It didn't just happen overnight. All right. So you need to follow due process and get yourself equipped. But when the vision came, when the instruction came, I took action. And this was what? A journey of just 5 weeks. All right. 5 weeks and see where we are. So I want us to start getting ready. The process is going to be on. But if we want to be in there, all right, if we want to be part of iTHRIVE, I'm going to drop a link right now. Hey, Dayo Samuel is here with us. Thank you very much for joining via this system, all right, via this process, all right? So I'm going to drop a link. If you want to be part of iTHRIVE 2021, I'm going to drop a link to the iTHRIVE conference platform on Telegram. And all I just want is you to what? To be part of us, all right? All I just want you to is what? Is to join in. All I want is for you to go all in, click the link and join in, all right? So I'm dropping the link right away. And let me see if I can get that out in the next few seconds. All right, so it's just a click away and you're going to join the Telegram channel. Oh, sorry, the Telegram group. Then we can discuss, we can take it off from there, and every single person can learn. All right, good. All right, and I'm there. All right, that is the link. So if you want to be part of this, I'm going to allow that post to go in there for a while. I say, I will be part of iTHRIVE 2021 by God's grace. Amen. You're going to be part of it in Christ's name. All right. So thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much for being part of iTHRIVE 2020. Thank you for building the minds. Thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to all the sponsors. All right. Those things happen. But thank you that you even came through to say, okay, you want to be part of iTHRIVE 2020. Don't forget, iTHRIVE 2021 is going to be way more awesome than this, and life is going to be taught. Simon Bo, thank you for joining me from the Caribbean, all right, Bahamas, all right, specifically. And I look forward to seeing you again. But click the link right there to join the Telegram group so that we can take it to the next level. I remain Ayobami Joel Atolagbe, and always thrive towards greatness. Do have a lovely one. I love you all, and God bless you. Bye for now.